Welcome to HOJO Radio. Our next broadcast was the brainchild of Jack Webb and may very well be the most well-remembered and best radio police drama series of all time. It ran from September in 1949 through February 1957 in 30-minute shows broadcast on NBC, and it brought to radio true police stories in a low-key documentary style. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Dragnet on HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a forgery detail. An accomplished check forger is at work in your city. His victims, small businessmen. You know his M.O., you don't know his identity. Your job, get him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 4th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Elliott. My name's Friday. I was on the way home from the office, and it was 8:25 p.m. when I got to Collis Avenue. Number 4656.
Joseph, is that you?
Yeah, Ma.
We're in the living room. We have company.
Oh, that's so?
Hello, Joe.
Well.
You remember Mary Fowler, don't you, Joseph?
I sure do. How are you, Miss Fowler?
Just fine, Joe, thank you. Doing some shopping out this way and thought I'd stop by and have a cup of tea with your mother.
Well, it's good to see you. How are things in the old neighborhood, huh?
Oh, pretty much the same. Oh, Miss Daly, remember her?
Mm-hmm.
Finally died.
Oh.
I suppose it was for the best, though. I was just telling your mother. Jim and Louise Watson finally moved. Jim got a new job out by Altadena.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. My, you certainly looking fine, Joe. Don't you wear your police uniform anymore?
Oh, my, no, Mary. Joseph's in the detective bureau now. Hasn't worn his uniform for years.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. That note you sent with your Christmas card year before last. What do you do now, Joe?
Forgery detail. My partner and I handle bum check cases.
My, that certainly must be interesting.
Have you had your dinner, Joseph?
Yes, ma'am. I stopped at a place out in Santa Monica and had something.
Yes, well, Mary brought me some nice coffee cakes. Pineapple filling. Wouldn't you like one with a cup of coffee, Joseph?
No, I don't know, Ma.
Now, you sit down in your chair there and rest yourself. You always look so tired. I have no idea how hard they work, those young fellas, Mary.
You remember Genevieve, don't you, Joe? My oldest girl?
Oh, yeah, sure. How is she?
Oh, just fine. Lots of boyfriends as usual. Going out all the time.
Oh, that's good.
She asked to be remembered to you. I think you and Jen were stuck on each other at one time, weren't you, Joe?
Oh, we went to a couple of dances in high school. Well, I think she started going steady with another fella, didn't she?
Young girls. You never know when they're well off.
Here's your coffee, Joseph. Set it here on the end table.
Thanks. I don't think I can use it, Ma.
It's delicious coffee cake. You smell how fresh it is.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, my, 8:45. I should have left half an hour ago.
Oh, you have to go, Mary? Seems our visits are always so short.
Well, I got a lot of ironing to do, and I have to make Carl's lunch. He's always so fussy about his lunches.
Yes, well, I'll get your coat.
Well, it's nice seeing you again, Joe. Do you want to be remembered to Genevieve?
Yeah, tell her hello, will you, Miss Fowler?
If you're over our way, be sure and drop in and see us, won't you? Genevieve's home at the office by 6. She often says she'd like to see you again. Oh, thanks. Good night, Joe. You be sure and come and see us now. Jen will be looking forward to it.
Okay, Miss Fowler. Good night.
Yeah, and I'll show you to the door, Mary. You remember all the neighbors, won't you?
All right, dear. I will. You take care of yourself now. Good night.
Good night, Mary. There's a person, Mary. He's having a hard time trying to find a husband for Genevieve.
Yeah. Hey, Ma, I'm not very hungry. I can't eat now.
No? Oh, it seems such a shame to waste. That's a lovely coffee cake. Been used on the same case, hmm?
Yeah, same one.
It seems to me it's taking an awfully long time.
Well, we've been on it 2 months, yeah.
I'll never understand it. When people write bad checks, always get caught.
Well, it's easy living while it lasts.
Now, you know what the man's handwriting is like. Don't you know who the man is?
Well, we think so, Ma. We're not sure. There's hundreds of checkmen who work almost alike. Some of them even look alike. There's always a big enough field to pick from. Our problem's picking the right one.
Now, I don't know much about it, but the whole thing seems kind of silly to me.
Well, how's that?
What's this man supposed to be doing? Going around your small neighborhood stores, cashing $15, $20 checks? If he got himself a job, he could probably earn that much in one day doing good, honest work.
Yeah. Say, Ben didn't call before I got home, did he?
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he with you?
Oh, he was going to interview one of the bum check victims on his way home, a grocery store owner down at Highland Park. It might be him now.
Oh, now, don't hang on that phone, Joseph. Your coffee gets cold.
Yeah. Friday talking.
This is Ben, Joe. Got a partial identification from that grocer's, nothing great.
Which mugshot did he like?
Stanley Bubeck. Grocer thinks it might have been the guy who pushed the check. He can't be sure.
33 bum checks passed. Same M.O. Not one positive identification. Something's phony, isn't it?
It's got me stopped. We know the endorsements on every one of those checks was written by the same guy. Used practically the same story on every one of his victims.
Yeah.
Those 33 people are either blind or they're kidding us.
Well, there's only one other answer.
Huh?
We're looking for the wrong man. For 2 months and 2 days in different shopping districts throughout the city, a man described as well-dressed and middle-aged had been passing worthless checks on independent neighborhood businessmen. Most of the victims were proprietors of small shops, meat markets, liquor stores, grocery stores. In none of the cases was the check written for more than $25. With the help of the stats office and our record bureau, we'd gone through the list of experienced checkmen until we found one man whose description and M.O. matched perfectly with that of the suspect. The man's name was Stanley Bubeck.
We can't locate him, Captain. Another thing, we can't get a positive identification from any of the victims.
And find a suspect they can identify. You've been tracking the guy for 2 months. What's the big mystery?
Well, we tabbed the man as Stanley Bubeck, and his record and his M.O., his description, they all tie in perfectly. Now we're not sure it's him.
What do you mean?
Well, if it is Bubeck, it's almost a sure thing that one of the victims could have made him on one of his mugshots. None of them can make up their minds.
Look, maybe one of you two'd like to be captain of forgery for a day, sit in this office and listen to complaints come in over that phone about this guy, the front office, neighborhood businessmen's clubs, retail merchants. They tell me they're troublesome and passing them on to you. Now, whoever this paper hanger is, we want him fast.
Lousy little $20 checks. We'd probably have a lot better target if he tried something bigger.
And don't think he and 100 other checkmen like him don't know that. You won't find them stealing company paychecks and flooding the town with paper. They take it from the little guy, and they take it in small amounts, but add up those small amounts at the end of the year, and they'll scare you.
Yeah, that's the rotten part about it. None of those victims can afford a bad check.
That grocer Donnelly stands on his feet all day to net a profit of $10, $15. He gets tagged with one bad check, and he's working for nothing.
We got bulletins out on the suspect to all the small businessmen in town. They've all been alerted.
Excuse me. Captain Elliott. Yeah, okay, Don, right away. Don Myers. He went over the handwriting of those last 3 checks, wants to see you.
Okay.
How about that special bulletin you got out to the prisons on Stanley Bubeck? Any replies?
Nothing yet, Skipper.
All right, stay on it.
Right, let's go, Ben.
It's a sour deal. I'd give a right arm for a line on this guy.
Yeah, well, it'd move a lot faster if somebody'd help us follow those checks closer. The way it's running now, we hear about the paper 2 weeks after it's been cashed.
The Bubeck thing isn't helping much. No use trying another line till we get it settled.
Hi, Don.
Oh, hi. Just finished up on those last 3 checks that came in. You want to give them a look?
How do they shape up?
Well, you can see for yourself. Right here.
Yeah?
Here are the 3 I just went over.
Mm-hmm.
And here are half a dozen bad ones for cash last month. Now, the endorsements on this half dozen match perfectly.
And those other 3?
Well, I'd say they were endorsed by the same person. Now, look here. You can notice the capital letters. And he still handles them the same way. Disconnected from the other letters in the first name. See?
Yeah.
But he connects the capitals in the last name. See?
Mm-hmm.
Not very bright.
Yeah.
Not much doubt in my mind. All the other handwriting factors tie in. The form, skill, shading. They all match up. The movement, the terminals, they're all the same for my money. Yeah, here, the way he writes the lowercase letters. Yeah, that cinches it for me.
How's that, Don?
Well, here. The inclination of the terminal stroke on the S. See it? Degree of slant above the horizontal is just about 55 degrees in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the finger movement and his capitals have plenty of freedom. They're not shaded much.
Yeah.
Nothing like this in his lowercase letters, though, you see? Here.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Not much freedom here. Lots of shading. And the pressure on the lifts. Here. They match up.
Mm-hmm.
Same on the downstroke. No, I'd say the skill is medium in all cases. Embellishments, both class 2.
No changes at all in the style?
Oh, he made the signatures look a little different. All 8 factors match up, though. It's the same person.
All we have to do is find him.
Hey, how about this fellow Stanley Bubeck? I thought you had him tapped.
Now, we're not too sure about him, but it's the only line we got to work on, so it'll have to do for now.
Mm-hmm. Romero, the man in the office to see you and Joe. Name's Loomis.
Right, Fred. Be there in a minute.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Don. We'll check you later, huh?
Sure, okay. See you.
Let's go, Ben. How you do? You Mr. Loomis?
Yes, sir. Sergeant Romero?
No, this is Sergeant Romero here. My name's Friday.
Oh,
How are
how do
you?
you do?
What can we do for you?
It's about these checks, Sergeant. These right here.
Well?
You see, I run a delicatessen out on Sunset, and a few days ago, a new customer came in for a few things and paid for them with these checks. He came in twice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got the checks back today. They're no good. I tried to look up the man at the address he gave, but there's no such address.
Mm-hmm.
You can see, one's for $15, the other one's for $20.
Yeah.
Reason I asked for you, men, is because I know the man who runs the drugstore across the street, George Holmquist. He had some bad checks about a month ago. He said you took care of them.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Do you recall the man who passed these checks, Mr. Loomis?
Yes, I think I do. He told me he was new in the neighborhood and he was looking for a place to trade. Well, I guess we're all anxious for new business. I took the checks.
You got those mug shots there, Ben?
Well, yeah. Here we are.
Thank you. How about these men, Mr. Loomis? Any of them look anything like the person who passed the checks on you?
No. Let's see. This one, yes, it does look like the man in a way. I don't know if I could be absolutely sure.
Stanley Bubeck, same M.O.
Beg your pardon?
Well, it looks like you're stuck with a couple of bad ones, Mr. Loomis. Probably the same man who passed checks on your druggist friend. And we're doing everything we can to run this man down.
But what about the checks? Isn't there anything I can do about them?
No, sir, I'm sorry. Not right now. We would like to have you make out a crime report, if you will, and would you leave these checks with us?
Friday, Romero.
Here's us, Mr. Loomis.
This just came in for you. Reply from Salt Lake City, Utah on that bulletin you sent out under Stanley Bubeck.
Yeah.
He's been in jail for 5 months.
We sent a request to Salt Lake asking him to question Stanley Bubeck if he knew of any forger who matched his description or used his M.O. Bubeck could tell us nothing. Wednesday, February 6th. We threw away the results of 2 months of investigation. We went back and started from the beginning. Despite all precautions and warnings, the checks kept coming in at the rate of half a dozen a week. The same M.O. was used. The same handwriting showed up in the signatures on the checks. Again, with the help of the staff and the statistician's office and the record bureau, we waded through hundreds of names of known checkmen and compiled a new list of 38 possible suspects. Each one fitted the general description of the forger. Each one, at some time in his forgery career, had used the same general method of operation. Well, after days of legwork, we finally boiled down the list of possibles to 3 names: George Roberts, James Young, and a Harry L. Johansson. We got out a flyer to all the small businessmen in the areas where the forger operated. Another week passed. The worthless checks kept showing up at the rate of 2 and 3 a day. On February 21st, Ben and I answered a call from a druggist in the Echo Park district.
He bought some toothpaste and a carton of cigarettes, Sergeant. Asked me to cash a $20 check for him.
Did you ever see the man before, sir?
No, he gave me the same old story about being new in the neighborhood. That's when I remembered that police bulletin the department sent me.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have that bulletin?
No, I looked it over, and then I guess it got mislaid.
I wonder if you'd mind taking a look at these pictures here.
Not at all.
These right here.
Mm-hmm. Sure. This one right on top, that's the man.
You sure?
I am. It only happened a few hours ago. Do you know who he is?
Harry L. Johansson. That's the name we have on him.
It doesn't mean anything to me. He got real huffy when I wouldn't take his check. Stalked right out of the store. Very suspicious.
Did you follow him?
No, I told Ralph, my clerk, to follow him. Ralph.
Yeah, Mr. Butler?
You want to tell these officers about that man this morning?
Well, I followed him down the street for a block and then turned the corner. That's where I lost him.
It's too bad.
Yeah, all I got was the license number.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation, presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Northwest Airlines stewardess Jean Matson. You'll see her picture in leading magazines this week. Now, her actual signed statement.
There's one thing I really look forward to after a long flight. A good, mild smoke. That's why I prefer king-size Fatima. It's milder than any other long cigarette I've tried. Yes, I agree it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Best of all, long cigarettes.
September 21st, Thursday, 3 p.m. We took the license number, which the drugstore clerk had given us. We went back to the office and checked it through DMV. We found the car was registered to a Russell Burroughs on Pico Boulevard. We checked him out. He told us that he had loaned his car the day before to a friend of his. He identified the friend as Harry L. Johansson and gave us his last known address, 614 Elderwood Avenue. We got out a broadcast on the car. The Elderwood Avenue address turned out to be a single-story wooden frame house in the southern part of the city on the edge of the industrial district. It needed a coat of paint. A woman in her elderly 30s answered the door and identified herself as Mrs. Johansson. She invited us into the living room. There was a baby playing on the floor.
I don't expect my husband home for another 2 weeks, Sergeant. He's a cosmetic salesman. Travels all over the western states.
When did he leave on this last trip, Mrs. Johansson?
The first of the month. Why, is there anything wrong?
What's the name of the cosmetics company that your husband works for?
Harrington Universal. Offices are down on East Main.
Mm-hmm. Do you know a friend of your husband's named Russell Burroughs?
Yes, I do. He's kind of a friend of the family. Please, Sergeant, if there's anything wrong, I ought to know.
We talked to Mr. Burroughs this afternoon. He told us your husband's in town. Burroughs loaned him his car.
Harry? That's silly. He's still on the road. He'd certainly let me know if he was coming back early.
You sure of that, ma'am?
Would you excuse me a minute, Sergeant? I'll have to put the baby to bed.
Certainly, ma'am.
Come on, Bonnie. I'll be back in a minute.
Kind of a funny setup, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, if Johansson's pushing bum checks, the money isn't going into his home here.
Wife doesn't act like she knows anything. Seems cooperative.
Afraid we're going to have to level with her if we're going to find out anything, huh?
Mm-hmm. You sure got a cute little girl.
I'm sorry, Sergeant.
It's perfectly all right. Just a few more questions.
Is it possible that your husband could be in town and you might not know it? I mean, could he be staying with a friend or some relatives?
No, if Harry was in town, he'd come home. Why would he stay with anyone else?
When did you last hear from your husband?
Last week. He wrote from San Francisco. The letter's right there on the mantel.
Oh, huh. Well, besides that letter, do you have any other samples of your husband's handwriting around the house?
Well, I think so, yes. Where did you say you were from?
Central Division, Forgery Detail.
You investigate checks, bad checks.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
And you know about my husband.
His prison record, yes.
Harry promised me he was through with all that. He gave me his word.
Sorry, ma'am.
About a month ago, he had some extra money. He wouldn't tell me where he got it. Look, Sergeant, maybe you've made a mistake. Maybe it's not Harry at all. You're not sure, are you?
Did your husband use the phone much? I mean, for out-of-town calls, say?
No. Just that one toll call, a Long Beach number, I think. He has a business friend down there he used to call.
Do you know the number, ma'am?
I can show you. It's on last month's phone bill. Please, Sergeant, if Harry's done something wrong, he did it for us. Me and the baby. Harry's not bad.
Yes, ma'am.
He's done something. He did it for us. Harry hasn't had it easy. He wanted to get things for the baby. Clothes, a better house. All he wanted was a little happiness. A little happiness.
You had it wrong, ma'am. You don't buy it with bum checks. Before we left Mrs. Johansson, we called and had a stakeout placed on the house, and then we got a sample of her husband's handwriting and the Long Beach telephone number that he was in the habit of calling. The next morning, Don Myers in handwriting compared Harry Johansson's letter with the signatures on the worthless checks. It matched. We called the Harrington Universal Cosmetics Company. They never heard of Harry Johansson. We called that Long Beach phone number. A woman answered and gave us the address where the telephone was installed. It turned out to be a swanky, modern apartment house. In apartment 18, we interviewed a good-looking brunette. She identified herself as Harry Johansson's common-law wife. She was well-dressed, and the apartment was richly furnished.
Well, what's it all about? What do you want, Harry?
Police business. You know where he is?
Well, what's he done?
Do you know where he is?
He drove into Hollywood this morning. Might be back tonight. I don't know for sure.
Is this your apartment?
Yeah. Mine and Harry's.
You're sure that Johansson's not here now?
Of course I'm sure. Why?
Oh, and you won't mind if we come in and look around, huh?
I have a right to know what it's all about.
Johansson's wanted for forgery. Now, if you want to get involved, you help him hide out.
I'm not asking for that kind of trouble. Go ahead and look.
Take the bedroom, will you, Ben?
Right.
Never mind, cop. Thanks for the help, honey.
I don't want any part of your troubles, Harry. I didn't know a thing about it, officer.
Ben?
Yeah.
You better come along, too, lady.
Well, tell him, Harry. I don't know what it's about. What's the idea of getting me mixed up in this?
How do you think I was paying for this place? Taking you out and buying us clothes for you.
I don't want any part of it. 3-room apartment, a couple of dresses. That's all he ever got me.
You got no complaints, lady.
Huh?
That's more than he bought his kids. 1 p.m. Friday. Ben and I took Harry Johansson to the county jail where he was booked for suspicion of forgery. We called Mrs. Johansson and notified her. She immediately contacted friends and relatives and raised enough money for a writ to have her husband released from jail. 3 days later, Johansson was arraigned and a date set for his preliminary hearing. After the arraignment, Ben and I took him back to the county jail for rebooking.
I'd like to ask you a question, Johansson.
Yeah?
You got any money of your own left?
Why don't you stick to your own business, copper?
That family of yours is having a pretty rough time. Your wife borrowed every cent she could find to bail you out. Now, what's she going to live on?
She got relatives.
No, there's the elevator.
Come on, Johansson.
They're not going to put me back in Folsom. Not in 100 years.
You've done 2 stretches already for hanging paper. You should have known better, mister.
You got it all figured out, haven't you, Fuzz? Well, I'm not going back.
Take it easy. You got a couple of more weeks on bail before the trial.
Yeah. A couple of weeks.
What's the matter with you? Don't you feel well?
They won't get me back to Folsom.
You're not making it any easier on yourself. All right, Archie.
Don't you cops understand? I hate it. Every lousy bit of it. I'm not going back to Folsom. I'm not going back. Now, do you understand?
It's a good idea, mister. You remember that when you get out. We booked Harry Johansson in the county jail. His bail was continued, and he was released pending the trial. During the next week, along with the district attorney's office, Ben and I helped prepare the case against Johansson. 3 days before the trial opened, we had a phone call from Mrs. Johansson. She told us that her husband had disappeared. Well, there was nothing we could do until he actually failed to appear in Superior Court at the appointed time. On Monday, April 3rd, the case of the State versus Harry L. Johansson officially opened. The defendant failed to show. A bench warrant was immediately issued, and we got out a broadcast and an APB on the suspect. Stakeouts were placed in his house and at the apartment of his common-law wife. 2 days passed. No sign of him.
Nothing, Joe. Bumley just checked it out.
Yeah. How about those 2 ex-con pals of Johansson's? Did you check with them?
Yeah, nothing there. I don't see how I can last out much longer. One suit of clothes, no money.
You still got a checkbook. When did the skipper say he was coming back?
On 7:30 tonight. 7:15 now.
I'll get it. Forgery, Friday.
Joseph, this is your mother.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Ma.
I forgot to tell you when you called earlier. You're supposed to be home tonight by 8 o'clock.
What's that, Ma?
Mary Fowler, she's coming over to visit tonight, and Genevieve's coming with her.
Yeah, well, look, will you try to explain to them that I'm working and I can't get away, huh?
Well, all right, Joseph, I'll try.
If I possibly can, I'll try to make it home by 10. Will that be all right?
Well, all right, Joseph, I'll see what I can do. Genevieve's going to be disappointed.
Yeah. If I'm later than that, don't wait up for me, huh?
Yes, all right then.
Bye, Ma.
Yes. Bye, Joseph.
Oh, hi, Skipper.
The call just came in.
Yeah?
They found Johansson.
Captain Elliott, Ben, and I drove out the highway to the Tahunga Wash. We turned off and headed into the Mount Gleason area. Captain Elliott directed us onto a dirt road. Halfway up one of the mountains, we spotted a group of cars pulled off on the shoulder of the road. We parked behind them, got out, and started over.
Who found the car, Skipper?
One of the people living back in the hills. Spotted it on his way home from work.
Coroner got here in a hurry.
Yeah. Hi, Dave.
Oh, how you doing, Joe? Captain Elliott.
How long's he been dead?
Since last night, I figure. Come on over.
Yeah.
You talked to the man who found Johansson's body, Dave?
Yeah, he didn't touch a thing.
What'd you find?
Powder burns on the temple, powder on the hands. Boys from homicide found the note. It's on the seat right next to him. Here it is, here. It's been checked.
Yeah, thanks.
All ties in, huh, Dave?
Pretty tight, yeah. Gene Bechtel from homicide wants to talk to you, Captain.
Okay, be right back, Joe.
Right.
Who do you address the note to, Joe? His wife?
No, the girlfriend.
Look what he wrote it on.
Yeah, blank check.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On April 9th, an inquest was held in the coroner's office on the main floor of the Hall of Justice, Los Angeles, California. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. The working detective comes in contact with many people in his daily tour of duty. People who are willing to cooperate and those who won't even try. It's a difficult task, but the police officer has been trained to try to please everybody to the best of his ability. So with a cigarette, the people who make Fatima try to please all long cigarette smokers. They carefully select and blend the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos to make Fatima extra mild, the best of all long cigarettes. Now, if you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, smoke Fatima. Every pack is extra mild. Fatima.
On April 9th, the coroner's jury returned a verdict that the death of Harry L. Johansson was caused by a gunshot wound in the head, self-inflicted. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Coming up, Duffy's Tavern. More good times on NBC.
HOJO Radio. We're your old-time radio headquarters. Stay tuned.
The story you are about about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a homicide detail. An old couple suddenly disappear from one of the fashionable neighborhoods in your city. There's no trace of them, not a clue to their whereabouts. Foul play is suspected. Your job, find them.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, September 30th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day shift out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Blaine Steed. My name's Friday. It was 3:45 p.m. when I got to room 67A. Missing persons.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. Where's Al?
Next door. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh. There's a phone message for you in the book. It's from your wife.
What is it this time?
She didn't say.
Sure been a bad week.
Why? What's the matter?
Lucille.
Who?
Our cat.
Again?
Kittens. Had 11 of them by the time I left the house. She was a healthy kid.
Yeah.
Don't know what I'm going to do with them. Hey, your mother likes cats, doesn't she, Joe?
You gave us 2 from the last litter. We still got them. They're as healthy as their mother.
Yeah?
Never pass up a meal.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Al.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Just getting this report straightened out. Here you go.
Mm-hmm. Mr. and Mrs. Walter Apperson.
How long they been missing?
Well, today's the 4th day. They're an elderly couple. One of their next-door neighbors got a little worried when he didn't see them around the house. Came in yesterday and filed a 316 on them.
Let's see. Clarence Stokely. Is that the neighbor?
Yeah. It says here he lived next to the Appersons for 28 years. Never known him to take off like this. Checked Apperson's cottage out there. Dirty dishes on the kitchen table. Not the way an old couple leave a house normally.
And how about friends and relatives?
And Stokely called him. None of them have seen or heard from the Appersons for a week. Checked out 2 of their 3 living relatives, cousin in Eagle Rock, niece in Alhambra. They don't know a thing.
Wonder if I can see that, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, how about the third relative? Nephew, is that it, Joe?
Yeah. Frank Apperson. Says here he goes to a private college out near Monrovia.
Yeah, I haven't been able to contact the kid. He's away on a vacation.
Possible the old couple might be with him?
Not according to Stokely. He says the Appersons seldom spend any time away from their home.
That's all we've got to go on, huh? Just the neighbor's story?
Yeah. Oh, he says he checked the garage, too. The Appersons' car's gone.
How does that tie in?
Well, Mr. Apperson hasn't driven the car for the last year and a half. He has a nephew or some friend drive whenever he wants to go out. One more thing. May mean something, may not.
What's that, Al?
Mrs. Apperson's an invalid.
Yeah?
She hasn't left the neighborhood in 10 years.
4 p.m. Ben and I left the office and drove out to interview the neighbor of the missing couple. After checking at his home, we finally located him at his place of business, a small barber shop at the corner of 54th Street and Maxford Place. The chipped gold lettering on the window read, Jim Dandy Tonsorial Parlor. Smaller lettering in the right-hand corner of the window read, Proprietor Clarence Stokely. Except for a man in a white barber's smock sitting in the first chair, the shop was empty.
How do, gentlemen?
Hi. You Clarence Stokely?
That's right.
Police officers, Mr. Stokely. I'd like to talk to you about the missing persons report you filed yesterday.
Oh, yes. Glad to help. You found out anything yet?
You know the Appersons pretty well, do you, Mr. Stokely?
28 years.
Sure worried about Walter and Kate. Never known them to do anything like this. Say, I couldn't be of service to you, could I?
I just had a haircut a few days ago. How about you, Joe? Looks like you could stand a trim.
We could talk it over while I cut your hair. Don't think we'd be disturbed. Face to look well.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Here, I'll take your coat.
Oh, thank you.
Push the chair there.
You bet.
Mr. and Mrs. Apperson didn't mention anything about going away on a trip, did they?
Not a word. That's what makes it so strange. Here, let me fix this around your neck here.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Play cards with them twice a week, usually. Katie Apperson's a fine whist player. Want me to take some off the sides here, officer?
Yeah, please. Not too much, though. When did you first notice the Appersons weren't home?
Tuesday night. We thought we might go over and play some cards.
I see.
Is that enough off right here, officer?
Let me see. Yeah, that's fine. How is it you waited until yesterday to report the Appersons missing?
Wife and I are great friends of Walt and Katie's, but it's certainly none of our business if they want to go off for a few days.
Uh-huh.
Besides, we thought if anything was wrong, Buzz would have said something.
Who is Buzz?
Anderson's nephew, Buzz. Name's Frank, but everybody calls him Buzz.
I thought he was away at school, a place out near Monrovia.
Yeah, Stanley College, private school. But he only stays there part of the time. He's usually home early in the week.
Well, we were under the impression that this nephew, Buzz, was on a vacation.
That's so. That's the first I've heard. Funny Walt and Katie would have told us. Oop, that bull?
No, it's all right.
Skipper's little doll. Head down.
You, think the nephew might account for the Appersons' car being missing? You think he might have taken it on his vacation?
Possible, I guess, but I think Walt would have mentioned it. That car was old, but he was particular about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe fit it out on top here a little?
All right, fine. Do you know the nephew at all?
Pretty well. Nice young fella.
He got along with his aunt and uncle all right, did he?
Yes, indeed. Buzz loves them both.
Do you have any idea where the Appersons might be, Mr. Stoffel?
No, I don't. Neither does my wife. That's why we called you people. We don't mean to be Budinskis, but we're worried. Maybe just a little more off the top, officer?
No, I think it's fine. It's okay. You have no idea where we might find the nephew, Buzz?
Not if he's away on vacation. Might check with the school. Buzz might have gone off with a couple of his friends. Do something to dampen that down?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, that porch light of theirs been burning for 3 nights and 3 days. It really kicks up the old electric bill.
Well, maybe the Appersons may have overlooked it.
Maybe. All right, sir. Yeah, it's a good-looking haircut if I say so myself.
Yeah. It's fine. Oh, here you go.
Thank you.
Oh, here's our card, Mr. Stokely. We'll be checking with you.
Bye.
Bye.
Can I borrow your comb? Barbara never combs your hair right.
That's not going to help you.
Huh?
It's the way he cut it.
What do you mean?
He put the part on the other side.
After we left Clarence Stokely's barber shop, we drove out to the Apperson home on 54th Street just below Seaboard Avenue. We checked the house from top to bottom. The closets and the bedrooms were well stocked with clothes. None of the luggage seemed to be missing. In the basement, back on one of the cupboard shelves, we found a bottle of cyanide. It was half filled. In the kitchen, we found dirty dishes still lying on the table. We put in a call to Ray Pinker at the crime lab, and he came out and took sample scrapings from each of the 3 plates and specimens from each of the half-filled cups of coffee on the table. He also took along a bottle of cyanide to examine it for fingerprints. Ben and I called the record bureau just as a matter of routine and asked for any make and warrants on the nephew, Frank Buzz Apperson. R&I called back with the information that Frank Apperson had been arrested for grand theft auto 6 weeks before. His trial was pending. We checked back with the barber, Clarence Stokely. He knew nothing about the trouble. The next morning, Sunday, with the help of school authorities at Stanley College near Monrovia, we got in touch with the parents of 2 of Buzz Apperson's friends. They told us, as far as they knew, Apperson was on a camping trip with their sons. They were expected back in the next day around noontime. From one of the boarding students at Stanley College, we got the name of Buzz Apperson's girlfriend, a Miss Norma Louise Bernard. She lived in San Marino. Sunday night, we drove out to interview her.
I don't know what I can tell you, Sergeant. Buzzy's on a camping trip with two of the fellows from school. That's all I know.
When did he leave? Do you know, Miss Bernard?
Last Monday morning, they left from school, said they'd be gone for a week. They're coming back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. You know Buzz Apperson pretty well?
Yes, I do, as well as anyone, I guess.
What is he, just a casual date?
Oh, Buzzy and I have been going steady for almost a year now.
I see.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Have you ever met the Appersons, his aunt and his uncle?
Just once. They're awfully sweet.
How did Buzz get along with him, do you know?
Well, fine, I guess. The only argument Buzz ever told me about was a month ago. He wanted more allowance, and his uncle said no.
Was Buzz ever in any trouble, to your knowledge, Miss Bernard?
I don't think I know what you mean. What kind of trouble?
Well, I mean, was he ever in any trouble at the college or with the law in any way?
Oh, you mean that car Buzz took about 2 months ago?
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to this school dance, and Buzz didn't have a car. I guess he was ashamed. He said he knew the fellow he borrowed the car from, but the day after the dance, the cops came.
How did his uncle react to that?
Well, there was a terrible row, Buzz said. I really shouldn't be telling you. Bud made me promise.
How were feelings between the boy and his uncle before he left on the trip? Did he mention anything to you about that?
Well, we had a date last Sunday night. I asked him how things were at home. He didn't seem to want to talk about it.
The last time you saw him was Monday morning. Is that right?
Yes, just before he left on the camping trip.
Well, you're sure he went on that trip?
Well, of course I'm sure.
How do you mean?
He said, no matter who asks you, I went on a camping trip. He said it a couple of times.
Did he offer any explanation?
No, but I knew everything was all right.
Oh, is that so? How?
I could tell. The way he kissed me.
The next morning, Monday, Ben and I checked with missing persons. There was no additional information on the missing couple. We phoned the barber, Clarence Stokely. He had seen or heard nothing further of Mr. and Mrs. Apperson. We went down to the bank where the Appersons had their account. And with the help of the manager, we found that 3 checks had been passed on the Apperson checking account since the previous Wednesday, a full day after the missing couple had been last seen. 1 check was for $100 and 2 for $50 each. All of them had been cashed in Los Angeles and all bore the signature Walter Apperson. After examination, it was found each signature had been carefully forged. 10:45 a.m. We went back to the office.
Hi, you two. Going someplace?
Oh, hi, Ray. No, just coming.
You finished checking that stuff through the crime lab?
Yeah. I was passing over this way. I thought I'd drop off the report for you. Got it right here.
How'd it go?
Fingerprints on that bottle of cyanide. Latent print's got to make. Here's the name on it.
Frank Buzz Apperson.
You look over those dirty dishes we found in the Apperson house?
Checked them through. Nothing.
How about the samples you took from those cups?
Whoever drank that coffee's in trouble. It's loaded.
Yeah?
Enough cyanide to kill a horse.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to this case history recorded by a typical Fatima smoker.
Hi there. My name is Bab Beckwith. Bab. That's short for Bethany Ann Beckwith. I live in New York City, and I'm a fashion stylist. The other day at a showing of the new fall styles, I ran out of cigarettes. A friend of mine, a designer, introduced me to the new long Fatima. I really wish someone had told me about them sooner. Fatimas are a lot milder than the cigarettes I've been smoking, and they have a delightful flavor, too. I'm very glad to recommend them to you, because I know from experience it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatimas.
And more smokers every day are finding that out. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, 1 p.m. We obtained a specimen of Frank Buzz Apperson's signature, and we had Don Myers in handwriting check it out against the signatures on the 3 checks. Both styles of handwriting matched in every detail. At 1:30 p.m., the parents of Buzz Apperson's two friends called to tell us that their sons were back from their camping trip. We checked the Apperson home. The nephew wasn't there. We drove out to see his two friends. Under questioning, one of them finally broke and admitted that Buzz Apperson had not gone with them on the camping trip. In the process of questioning the boys, one of them told us that he had been with the suspect 2 days before the trip when he purchased some medicine at the campus drugstore. We went to the drugstore and checked the prescription book. It showed Frank Buzz Apperson had purchased and signed for a bottle of cyanide 2 days before the disappearance of his aunt and uncle. Ben and I drove back to the Apperson house. When we arrived, the officers on stakeout had the boy in custody.
No, I'm sorry, officers. I wish I could help you out, but, well, maybe it's not as bad as you think.
When did you last see your aunt and uncle?
Monday, before I left on the camping trip.
They're in the habit of going off like this, are they?
Oh, sure. Aunt Kate and Uncle Walter have friends all over. They go on trips all the time.
Is that so? How do they get there?
They drive, both of them. They've been driving for years.
You talked to your uncle's friend, this Mr. Stokely next door. He says your aunt and uncle haven't been driving for at least a year and a half.
Stokely, the barber? He's one of the neighborhood cranks, Sergeant. Anybody around here can tell you that. Minds everybody's business but his own.
You don't seem too worried about your aunt and uncle. Think they're all right?
Well, we'd have heard by now if they weren't, don't you think, sir? They probably took off on a trip. That's just about the size of it, I think.
And how about this trip of yours?
Sir?
Well, this camping trip that you just come from.
Oh, a couple of fellows from school. We went camping up by Big Bear for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good fishing for September. Ever been up there?
Yeah, have you?
Well, sure. I just said that's why we've been camping. Say, I'm a little thirsty. There's a couple of bottles of ale in the refrigerator. Care for a bottle?
No,
not right now. Thanks.
Well, would you mind if I had one? Sure could use it.
No, you go right ahead. We can talk in the kitchen.
Place is in kind of a mess. I guess I'll have to go in and clean it up.
Does your aunt usually leave in a hurry like this?
Not usually, no. Dishes all over the place. She probably figured she'd wait till she got back to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Kate does things like that once in a while.
That so?
Yeah, she's like that sometimes. Well, happy days.
Yeah. Okay, Buzz, you want to tell us? Where are they? Your aunt and uncle, what happened?
Say, I don't think I know what you're talking about. What's the trouble?
Come on, Buzz. You know what the trouble is. Let's have a straight story. It's going to save a lot of time.
Sir?
We can draw it out as long as you like. It'll be a lot easier if you cooperate.
Look, I don't know what you're thinking, Sergeant, but whatever it is, I don't understand you. What are you getting at?
Something's happened to your aunt and uncle, and we're pretty sure you know what it is.
Well, how could I? I've been away on this camping trip.
You've been away, but not on a camping trip.
Sir?
We've checked you out from the day you came to live with your aunt and uncle, Buzz. You're going to make us spell out the whole record for you?
But I've been away. I just got back. I don't know what's happened.
We found a bottle of cyanide in the basement cupboard. Your fingerprints are all over it.
Well, sure, that figures. We use it for bug poison in the garden. I take care of the garden. I use it all the time.
You use it in coffee?
Sir?
The police chemist checked what was left in 2 of the cups that were on that table there. Cyanide in both of them, enough to kill 6 people. Now, look, boy, we've talked to your neighbors, your teachers, your girlfriend, Norma, and those 2 pals you were supposed to go camping with. Now, we can drag all of them out if we have to. They're going to make a liar out of you.
Sir?
I think you got it the first time.
Well, there couldn't be any cyanide in those cups. Why should there be?
We think you can tell us that.
But I can't. I don't know anything about this. I haven't any idea what you're talking about. Is this some kind of a gag?
You know better than that.
How about those checks, Buzz?
Sir?
The ones you forged your uncle's signature on. You need the money that bad?
I didn't forge any checks. I was away on a camping trip. Dave and Willie were with me. They can tell you.
You got in a row with your uncle. Maybe about that stolen car. Is that how it happened?
It had nothing to do with it. I want to see Norma. I want to talk to Dave and Willie. They'll tell you.
How about the man at the campus drugstore?
Sir?
The one you bought the cyanide from. You want to talk to him, too?
Look, are you 2 fellas kidding me? This must be some kind of a gag, is it?
Your aunt and uncle are missing. There's evidence of foul play. Now, does that sound like a joke?
Well, how should I know where they are? I wasn't there. I want to talk to Norma. I want to see Dave and Willie. They'll tell you. Why don't we drive over and see him now?
It's all right with us. Want to get your coat?
Sure. Norma's the girl I'm engaged to. Dave and Willie are my best friends. They know everything about me. A couple of real nice guys.
That's so?
Sure.
Well, let's go, Ben.
Yeah.
Dave and Willie have been all through school with me. They can vouch for me.
Yeah?
Sure. You can take their word, too.
We will. 5:50 p.m. We left the Apperson house, drove across town, and headed over the Arroyo Seco toward the home of the suspect's friend, Dave Killifer. 6:33 p.m. We took a right turn off the freeway, headed south for another mile, and finally pulled up in front of the Killifer home. Buzz Apperson's friend, Dave, met us at the front door.
What's it all about, anyway, Buzz? What's the pitch?
Well, that's what I want to know. Look, is this some kind of a gag you guys cooked up on me?
We were on the trip, Buzz. I don't know anything about any gag. What's all this about your aunt and uncle?
I don't know. That's what these officers want to find out.
I'd like to have you tell us again, Dave. Was Buzz here with you on that camping trip?
Sure, that's why we came over. Now, tell him about it, you know.
All right, let's have it, Dave. Was he with you on that trip?
These officers aren't kidding, Buzz. They want the truth.
Well, tell him I was with you and Willie. We went to Big Bear.
We're looking for your aunt and uncle. I'm not going to lie now. You didn't go to Big Bear with us.
All right, Dave, thanks.
Well, he's lying, officers. Who put you up to this stunt, Dave? They'll throw you in the jug for a gag like this. Who's behind it?
You're the guy who said it was a gag. You told us to tell everybody you were up at Big Bear with Willie and me. How about leveling? What's it about?
He's lying.
What's it about? You've got nothing to hide. Have you?
He's lying. You can tell that, can't you? Let's go talk to Willie. He'll tell you the truth.
Joe? All right. Thank you, Dave. That's all.
All right, Sergeant. Sure there isn't anything I can do?
No, thanks. Just the same. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Anybody could tell he was lying. Isn't that right, Sergeant?
Well, he's your friend, Buzz. Why do you say that?
Well, he was just plain lying, that's all. Couldn't you tell?
No, I couldn't. How about you, Ben?
Not me. Why would he lie, Buzz? You told us he was your pal.
Some kind of a stupid gag they're pulling. The gang in the fraternity I belong to, Dave's one of them. They've done it before. I don't know why they're lying, but they are.
Where's your friend Willie live?
Sir?
You said you wanted to drive over and have us talk to Willie?
Oh, yeah.
Where does he live?
Look, would you mind very much?
How's that?
I got a terrible headache. Would you mind very much just driving around a while? I'd like to clear my head a little. I can't figure this thing out.
All right. Why don't you roll down the window there, Buzz?
Okay. Yeah. The air feels good. Sure is hot out tonight.
Yeah,
Been a pretty long summer, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Say, I guess maybe we ought to forget about going over to Willie's place. He strings along with the rest. He'd probably lie, too.
You said you wanted us to have a talk with him.
Yeah, but I've been thinking about it. He'd only lie. It'd be better if we drove over to see Norma. That's the girl I'm engaged to.
Yeah, that's what we understand.
If anybody can give you a straight story, Norma can. She doesn't live far. Straight down the road here into San Marino.
Yeah, we know.
Oh. Sure would appreciate it if you'd drive over there.
Okay.
Norma can straighten this thing out. Swell girl. We're going to get married as soon as we can.
Oh?
Yeah. She saw me leave on that trip to Big Bear. She won't lie to you. Sure wish my aunt and uncle had left a note where they were going. All this trouble.
You mind if I lay out a couple of things for you, Buzz?
Now, what do you mean?
When a police officer picks somebody up, he's got a good reason for it.
Yeah, but Dave was lying, Sergeant. You know that.
It's a lot more than what Dave had to say. Now, you've done something wrong. We don't know what exactly, but we've got an idea, and we're going to find out.
You can't prove anything. I got that cyanide for the garden. We use it around the house for different things.
You don't use it in coffee cups. What happened, boy? Where's your aunt and uncle?
Next turn for Norma's house, up by the signal. Turn left.
Yeah.
Come on, Buzz. You know what happened. You're going to have to face it sooner or later. If it's not tonight, then tomorrow morning or tomorrow night or the night after.
But I don't know what happened.
The facts say you do, and they're not going to disappear. Now, you made the problem. It's going to stick out in front of you till you find an answer. How about it?
Norma will know what to do. Wait till I talk to Norma.
Why don't you stand up and face it, boy? Getting your girl mixed up in this isn't going to help.
She'll know what to do.
Can she find your aunt and uncle? Can she? How about the 3 checks? How about them? Can she explain those signatures that you forged? Maybe those fingerprints on the cyanide bottle. Can she help you out there? Now, look, Buzz, I believe you. You love the girl. Do you want her mixed up in all this?
Here we are, Joe.
Okay. That's the right house, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Norma's house.
All right, what's it going to be? Do we go in?
She'd cry. She'd only cry. Norma thinks a lot of me.
Yeah?
She's a swell girl. I don't want to have to tell her. She'd only cry.
Yeah.
I killed my aunt and uncle.
8 p.m. Buzz Apperson directed us to drive to San Pedro to the west basin of the Los Angeles harbor. We got out of the car and followed him to the end of one of the piers. He told us his story, and we put in a call to the office. Within half an hour, a fireboat and a barge were on the scene, and a diver was sent down into the water a few yards from the edge of the pier. We stood by and watched. Buzz Apperson, Ben, and I.
I put quite a bit of cyanide in the coffee. I had to be sure.
How'd you manage to get both of them in the car?
I waited till way after dark, and then I dragged them out. Drove down to the end of the pier right here. Put the car in low. It went over, right where the diver went down, just this end of the barge.
All right, clear those lines up there. Here's the first one.
You better stand back there.
Yeah, watch it.
Okay, sir.
Let's go. Buzz?
Yeah, my aunt.
Only one thing missing, Buzz.
Sir?
A reason. Why'd you do it?
I'm not sure anymore. Stolen car trouble, I guess. My trial was coming up. All that trouble. I didn't want my aunt and uncle to go through all that.
You mean that's why you killed him?
I think so. I didn't want them to be ashamed of me. That must sound funny.
Nobody's going to believe you.
Suppose they don't.
Yeah.
Would it make any difference?
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 92, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. To successfully prosecute a criminal suspect, the working detective gathers all available physical evidence. And in the crime lab, this evidence is carefully selected and screened to determine its worth. So with a cigarette. The makers of Fatima select and buy the finest tobaccos, both Turkish and domestic. And then these tobaccos are skillfully blended to make Fatima extra mild. Best of all, long cigarettes. Pack after pack, they're extra mild. Now, if you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, smoke Fatima.
Frank Buzz Apperson was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and sentenced to life imprisonment. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles. Coming up, Duffy's Tavern. Be sure to hear Theater Guild Sunday on NBC.
The origins of Dragnet can be traced to a semi-documentary film, He Walked by Night, in 1948, in which Jack Webb had a small role. Both employed the same Los Angeles Police Department technical advisor. They used actual police cases and presented the case in a just-the-facts manner that became the hallmark of Dragnet. It's interesting to note that Jack Webb employed that format in other radio series, some predating the film mentioned above. And now, more Dragnet on HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A small bakery shop in your city is held up. A man and his daughter are shot down without reason. Your job, get him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, November 3rd. It was chilly in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Ed Walker. My name's Friday. It was 5 minutes to midnight when we got to 318 Silver Avenue, Stendel's bakery shop.
Yeah?
Romero and Friday sent for robbery.
Hi, I'm Jacobs, Unit 16R. My partner Olson's back there in the shop talking to the owner.
You answered the call, did you?
Yeah, must have been a crazy man. Shot two of them down, cold blood. There they go in the ambulance now. Shot up pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Who runs the place?
Swedish family named Stendal. Father, mother, two daughters. All four of them work in the bakery here.
Mm-hmm. They all here at the time of the robbery?
Yeah, the hold-up man shot the father and the oldest daughter. The mother and the younger girl are in the back, straight through that door.
Okay. Thanks, Jacob.
Right, Sergeant.
Joe. On the side of the door here. Looks like a bullet hole.
Yeah. Hey, Jacob.
Yes, Sergeant.
You want to call into the crime lab, ask them to send somebody out?
Right.
Thank you.
Hi. You Olson?
That's right.
Romero and Friday sent for robbery.
Oh, how are you? These are two of the victims, Mrs. Signey Stendal. The girl's her daughter, name's Jennifer.
Any other witnesses?
Not so far. Neighborhood around here is pretty deserted this time of night. Hold-up man made a fast getaway.
The two people who were shot, what kind of shape are they in?
The father, Mr. Stendal, he's got a bullet wound in the right shoulder. Older daughter's a lot worse. Her name's June, 19 years old. Shot 4 or 5 times through the stomach.
Mm-hmm. You want to stand by?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Stendal, we're from robbery detail.
Ja, how do you do?
How do you do?
Jenny, var snäll och se om sittplats för herrarna. 2 stolar.
Yes, Mama.
You will excuse me for not getting up, officer. I don't feel so well.
That's perfectly all right, ma'am.
Chair for you, officer.
Well, thank you. I'll get it.
Thank you very much. You and your daughter here were in the front of the bakery shop at the time of the robbery. Is that right, Miss Stendal?
No. Jenny was back here with her father. That's Lars, my husband. Uni and I were in the shop in front.
Oh, who were you with, ma'am?
Uni and I.
Joe?
Mama means June, my older sister. She calls her June.
Yeah, June.
Oh, well.
You mind telling us what happened?
Well, June and I was scrubbing the floor of the shop. Every Tuesday night we scrubbed the floor of the shop. Then this man came in and pointed a gun. He wanted our money.
About what time did he come in?
11:15, 11:20. I don't remember for certain. He wanted our money and I gave it to him.
How much was that, ma'am?
Jenny, du vet. Hur mycket pengar var det kasten?
$24.
Yeah, $24. Just the paper money. He took it and put it in his pocket. June, my daughter, she started to cry. The man hit her. She cried some more. Then Lars and Jenny came running from the back.
Yes, ma'am.
The man pointed the gun. He made Lars and me and Jenny stand against that wall. But not June. He took hold of her. Jenny, hur ser du det? Den vägen din mannen, han var där.
It was getting fresh with her, Mama. The man tried to get fresh with June officers. June hit him. He tried to drag her out the door with...
Yeah, Jenny hit him. Hit him good. Then he went like that, threw her against the counter and pushed June down. Crazy man. Crazy look. He kicked her.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lars, my husband, he ran at the man. He heard the gun loud, and Lars fell down.
And I screamed.
Yeah, and I screamed. I turned and I saw the man standing over June. He pointed the gun down at her.
Yes, ma'am.
Crazy look on him. He kept shooting her 4, maybe 5 times. June screamed. She kept screaming. The man ran out the door.
It's all right now, Miss Linda.
Had either one of you ever seen this man before?
No.
Neither did I.
Would you know him if you saw him again?
Yeah, I think so.
I would, officer. I got a good look at him. He was wearing a blue cap like a baseball player wears.
Mm-hmm. How'd he get away? Was he on foot or did he have a car?
Nobody followed him, but after he left, I heard a car start up down the block, and then it drove away.
Do you have anything else to add, Mrs. Stendhal?
I hope you catch the man. He's bad. Please catch him.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to try.
Jenny, var snäll att ge mig nickels ifrån kassan.
Yes, Mom. Here, Mama.
Here, officer. When you find the man, please call me.
You keep the nickels. We'll call you. Before we left the scene of the robbery and shooting, Mrs. Stendhal and her daughter gave us their description of the hold-up man, together with the clothing he wore. The suspect had no outstanding physical characteristics that they'd noticed. The only thing unusual about his clothing was that he wore what appeared to be a baseball cap at the time of the hold-up. She described the cap as light blue with a visor. Together with Officers Bechtel and Lopez from Central Robbery, we canvassed the immediate neighborhood for other possible witnesses. We found none. The next morning, we went out to the hospital. The condition of the older daughter, June, was critical. We interviewed the father. He could tell us nothing. At 10 a.m., Mrs. Stendhal and her younger girl, Jenny, were brought to the office, and we started them looking through mug books of parolees previously convicted of armed robbery. Within 2 hours, both of them positively identified the picture of a recent San Quentin release as that of the hold-up man. His name was Harold Best. We started a quick rundown.
You pulled the package, Johnny?
Yeah, here's the dope. Harold Best. Alias Harold Norris, alias Harold Thompson, alias Tom Norris. One term for armed robbery in Q. Got out 4 months ago. Ammo and description both match.
How about the ex-con file? Did you check it?
He's registered. Did you get a hold of his parole officer?
Yeah, 2440 Excelsior Avenue, his rooming house.
Well, that checks with the ex-con files.
Parole officer says Best went to work 2 weeks ago at a filling station over on Vermont.
Yeah?
Doesn't seem to be able to hold a job. Quarrelsome, run himself into debt. I got it. Robbery, Romero. Yeah, right. That's all, huh? Yeah. Right, bye. Ray Pinker at the crime lab. They checked the slugs taken from the 2 victims.
Yeah?
They came from a .32 caliber revolver. Probably a Colt.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
That's it. Not too bad a start.
We've had worse.
Yeah. Maybe we can make that phone call pretty quick.
2 p.m. Wednesday. Ben and I drove out to his rooming house at 2440 Excelsior Avenue, and we found that Herbert Best was still living there. We had the landlady show us his room. Besides the usual personal belongings, we came across nothing of consequence. After questioning the landlady, we drove to the service station on Vermont Avenue, where Best was supposed to be employed.
I don't see anyone around.
Well, there's a fellow over there greasing your car in the rack.
Oh, yeah. That looks like Best.
Mm-hmm. Hey, fella. You.
Yeah?
Can you tell us if there's a Herbert Best working here?
Sure, I'm him.
Why?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
Yeah? What's the matter?
Routine investigation. Got a few questions for you.
Supposed to have this car greased up 4:45. What am I supposed to do, please? You or boss?
I'll find him, Joe. You got any heat on you?
No. What's it all about?
How long's this going to be?
A couple of minutes. Won't take more than a grease job. Put this thing in shape.
I will wait for you.
How'd you find me? That nosy landlady of mine?
No, routine channels.
Every fettin' on this trap is froze. Piece of junk. Well, what's it all about?
Got a few things to straighten out, Best. How long you been working here?
Well, you didn't drive out here for that. That's not your game. What's the pitch?
Routine investigation. We'd like to know where you've been spending your nights.
For instance?
Sunday night? Where were you?
Well, I don't know. I went to a show. Yeah, I saw a Mickey Rooney picture.
Where?
Downtown. I had a beer after the show. Come home.
How about Monday night?
I went home after work. I was pooped. Went to bed early.
Can you prove it?
Landlady saw me come in, always snooping around. She ought to know if I was there or not.
How about last night, Tuesday?
Played some cards with a friend of mine, him and his wife, Penny Annie Booker.
Where?
Their place, it's down on Pico, near the park. You can ask them.
What time did you get there?
Oh, I'm not sure. About 8 o'clock, I guess.
What time did you leave?
What's it all about?
What time did you leave?
Around midnight, yeah. Must have been around midnight.
What'd you play with your friend and his wife?
Poker. I lost as usual. Took a streetcar home, went to bed.
Sure you didn't leave earlier?
Of course I'm sure. It was around midnight, I remember.
How do you remember?
I looked at my watch. Good enough for you?
What time did you get home?
Well, it takes about a half hour on a trolley. Must have been about 12:30.
Did your landlady see you come in?
I don't know if she saw me or not. Always snooping around. Probably did.
You're not sure?
No, of course I'm not sure. She looks for me. I don't look for her.
You own a gun, Best?
You know better than that, copper. Ex-cons can't have a gun.
Your friend and his wife. Now, they're going to back you up if you were playing cards with them till midnight?
Why not? I was. Say, there's a boss looking for me. I better let him know I'm here.
Just a minute, Best.
Yeah?
What's that you got in your back pocket there?
Huh?
In your back pocket, the right one there.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Baseball cap. Why?
4 p.m. Ben and I checked the suspect's locker at the service station and then drove him back to the office to the interrogation room. We continued questioning him. He denied any knowledge of the holdup and shooting at Stendhal's bakery shop the night before. We asked him again about the friends he was supposed to be playing cards with at the time of the robbery. He told us that they lived over on Pico, but he couldn't remember the address. He volunteered to direct us there, but he said they wouldn't be home. He told us their names were Mr. and Mrs. Clyde Mitchell, and that they were in charge of the food concessions at one of the football stadiums in town. Best was held for suspicion of robbery. That night, we drove out and interviewed the landlady at his boarding house. She knew nothing of Best's whereabouts the previous night. She didn't know what time he left or what time he returned. Ben and I went over his room again. There was no sign of a gun. Friday, 2 p.m. Officers Bechtel and Lopez went out to the hospital to see if Mr. Stendhal and his daughter June could identify Best's mugshot. Ben and I drove out to the stadium to locate Mr. and Mrs. Clyde Mitchell. There was a high school football game going on.
High school kids sure have a lot of fun nowadays. Best years of your life, Joe.
You sound like you're 85.
Some nights I feel like it. The way those kids turn out for these things, you'd think USC and Notre Dame were playing.
You see the number on that gate over there?
Yeah, it's 23. Is that the number the gatekeeper gave me?
Yeah. Must be the Mitchell stand over there. Come on.
Oh, miss, can you tell us where to find Mr. and Ms. Mitchell?
Yeah, around back of the stand. You knock on the door.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on in.
You Ms. Mitchell?
That's right. What is it?
Police officers. I'd like to talk to you if you have a few minutes.
All right, I'm having a bite of lunch, but come on in. Shut the door.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Lousy food business. You never get a chance to feed yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, you care for some of these? New kind of potato chip. Revolutionary, it says.
Oh?
Mother Thompson's puff chips, flavored. Got all kinds, see? These here are a combination, see, garlic and eggplant. Sure tastes different. Have some?
No, thank you very much. I would. Thank you. See, we're inquiring about a friend of yours, Ms. Mitchell. Maybe you can tell us something about him.
Oh, who's that?
Man by the name of Herbert Best.
Herb, yeah, old-time friend of my husband's. What do you want to know?
You see him quite often, do you, Miss Mitchell?
Once, twice a month. Clyde and I play cards or go out bowling with him. Herb's pretty good company.
Uh-huh. When's the last time you saw him?
Early this week, Tuesday, I think it was.
Sure, it was Tuesday.
Let's see, yeah. It was. We played cards. Why?
At your place?
That's right, a little poker. Clyde and Herb and me.
What time did Best get to your place, Miss Mitchell?
Right after I finished up with the dinner dishes, around 7:45, I'd say.
How long did he stay?
A couple of hours. We sat around, had a few drinks, played poker, nickel limit.
What time did he leave? Do you remember that?
A little before 10, I think.
You sure that man was important?
Sure as I can be. Must have left before 10 because Clyde and I listened to the 10 o'clock news alone. Then we went to bed right after.
Your friend Best tells us he didn't leave your place until midnight.
Oh, that's not right. There must be mixed up. He left before 10, I'm sure of that.
All right, Miss Mitchell. Thank you.
Say, I hope I haven't said anything I shouldn't have. I know Herb's an ex-con.
Yeah,
He likes to gamble. You're not checking up on him for Tuesday night, are you?
that's right.
You playing too much poker?
We're not playing enough. 3:30 p.m. We located Mr. Mitchell, corroborated his wife's story, and then we went back to the city hall. Officers Bechtel and Lopez were waiting for us. They told us that they had seen Mr. Stendhal and his daughter, June, at the hospital. Both of them had identified Herbert Best's mugshot as that of the holdup man. At a show-up, Mrs. Stendhal and her daughter identified Best. We checked auto records for all stolen cars that might tie in. There were none. We then started to work on the theory that he had taken a bus from his friend's place where he had been playing cards to the Stendhal bakery where the shooting took place. Lopez and Bechtel rode the bus over the same route. It took 43 minutes. Plenty of time for Best to have gotten from one place to the other, even on a slow run. We interviewed the bus driver who'd been on duty that particular line Tuesday night between 10 p.m. and midnight. He identified Best as one of his passengers, but he didn't remember where he got off. The next morning, Ben and I met with Ed Walker, captain of robbery.
Hi. How'd you make out? Just saw the deputy DA. Laid out the case for him.
Yeah?
We got the complaint. He'll be arraigned this afternoon.
How strong a case you got?
Well, each one of the Stendhal family identified Best. His alibi didn't stand up for Tuesday night.
Uh-huh.
And we got that bus driver. He tapped Best, too. And that blue baseball cap. All we need now is the hold-up gun.
I hate to spoil it for you. This letter just came through in the mail. Have a look.
Thanks.
What do you think?
I read in the paper this morning about Herbert Best. You got the wrong guy. I'm the one who held up that bakery.
Every detail about that robbery's written down in that letter. The information wasn't in the newspaper story. Nobody else but the hold-up man would know all those details.
Yeah, wait a minute. Listen to this.
Yeah?
If you don't believe I'm the right man, I'll shoot up a couple of more jerks. Next time, I'll kill him.
It's no crank letter.
No, it isn't.
You got the wrong man.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to this case history recorded by a typical Fatima smoker.
Hi there. My name is Bab Beckwith. Bab. That's short for Bethany Ann Beckwith. I live in New York City, and I'm a fashion stylist. The other day at a showing of the new fall styles, I ran out of cigarettes. A friend of mine, a designer, introduced me to the new long Fatima. I really wish someone had told me about them sooner. Fatimas are a lot milder than the cigarettes I've been smoking, and they have a delightful flavor, too. I'm very glad to recommend them to you, because I know from experience it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatimas.
And more smokers every day are finding that out. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
After we received the anonymous letter in the mail confessing to the Stendhal Bakery holdup, we met with the deputy district attorney. We acquainted him with the new facts in the case. That afternoon, the charges against Herbert Best were dropped. We started again at the beginning. 10 a.m. Monday, November 9th. The members of the Stendhal family were again shown mug books of ex-cons with robbery records. This time, they picked out 8 mug shots of known robbery men, each with a marked resemblance to the original suspect, Herbert Best. Together with officers Bechtel and Lopez, we started checking them out. The first 2 days, we tracked down 4 of the 8. All of the 4 were in the clear. 5:15 p.m., we got back to the city hall, the carpool.
See any empty spots, Joe?
No, but don't park it in any one of the city councilman's stalls.
Yeah, I might get sore.
Well, why don't you pull up here? Boyd will take care of it.
Yeah, okay.
That's good right here.
Doggone it, I knew there's something I forgot to do.
What's that?
Oh, they had an underwear sale today. That place down in South Fig, shorts, T-shirts. Wife told me to be sure and get down there.
Well, that'll be another one. That place has sales all the time, don't they?
Only twice a year on underwear. Stuff I've got's not going to last till next time.
Friday? Ben? Wait a minute.
Gene Beck.
Yeah. Hi, Beck.
Hi. What up?
Yeah. How'd you make out?
2 men we checked were clean. We picked up something 77th Street station, though. Now, go ahead, Ben.
Uh-huh. Hey, watch that elevator door, Jim.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, what's with 77th Street?
Oh, a couple of men in traffic out there covered an accident this afternoon. 91st and Central, hit and run.
That's so?
And one of our traffic cars saw the collision, took out after the guy. Chased him 10 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And while they were chasing him, they thought they saw the driver throw something out of the car window.
Yeah, what?
I'm coming to that. And they finally pulled the car over, gray coupe. The driver told him his shoulder was wrenched in the accident. He was on his way to his own doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Our men took him to 77th Street, had the doc there look at him.
Yeah.
Well, the doc was treating the guy. Only one of the officers was in the room.
Mm-hmm.
When he turned to get a drink of water, the suspect slugged him, then the doctor. Jumped out of the window, got away. Teletype's out on him.
He went to an awful lot of trouble to beat a traffic rap.
Yeah, that's the way it impressed the boys out there. They got out of broadcasting the guy, went back to the spot where they thought they saw the guy toss this thing out of his car when they were chasing him.
Did it pay off?
They found a .32 Colt revolver. Our Russ Camp's checking it now over in the crime lab.
What did they say the man looked like?
Description measures pretty close to our holdup guy.
I'll get it. Robbery Friday. Yeah, just a minute. See you back.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Russ. Yeah. Okay, fine, right. Russ Camp checked the .32 revolver with the slugs in the Stendhal case.
Yeah.
Positive make.
The gray coupe, which the unidentified suspect had been driving, had been checked out by traffic officers at 77th Street Division. They had found that the owner and driver of the car was a man named Bruno Stock, a 2-time loser with a page full of major and minor crimes to his credit. We checked his mama sheet, and we got out a broadcast on him in an APB. A stakeout had been placed at his last known address. We picked up a sandwich and a cup of coffee for dinner, and then we started checking out Bruno Stock's relatives and friends. By 6 o'clock the following night, we still had no idea where he was. A little after 9 p.m., we got a call from an informant who told us that a Tommy Josephson, a small-time thief and reputedly a friend of Bruno Stock's, wanted to talk to us. We found him in a small apartment over on West 6th.
One thing I want to set you straight on. Bruno's no friend of mine. He's in on the heavy rackets. No heavy racket man's a friend of mine.
All right, we got it. Now where's Bruno?
He came here tonight, 6:15. Moved right in on me. Didn't even ask me.
What do you want with you?
Now, you remember, Bruno's no friend of mine.
Yeah, we got that. Now, what do you want?
A gun. He knew I had one. I keep it for self-protection. You can't trust these heavy men.
Did you give him the gun?
Give it to him. He took it. Shook me down like a rat. Made me go out and buy dinner for him. My own dough. Had to bring it back here from.
Yeah.
Bruno's no friend of mine. What he does with that gun is his grief. It's out of my hands.
When did he leave here?
An hour ago, I think. Maybe a little less. Shook me down like a rat. Real heavy guy.
Where was Bruno going?
I don't know. He's crazy. All them heavy guys are crazy. Talk like somebody with a paper head.
Did he tell you where he was going?
See a friend of his over in Dogtown. Guy runs a bowling alley. Bruno's going to borrow his car.
What for?
He's heavy, I tell you. Said he was going out on a heist tonight. Did he ever write you guys a letter?
Why?
Well, he told me he was going to prove what he wrote to you. Crazy. I didn't get it at all.
Yeah?
Said he was going out to kill a couple of jerks.
9:30 p.m. We got the address of the bowling alley run by Bruno Stock's friend, and we called the office. An alert for the suspect was broadcast immediately. Together with Gene Bechtel and Lopez, we drove to the bowling alley. Ben and I went in. Bechtel and Lopez covered the outside.
It's a good crowd. I wonder where they do business. I don't see any counter.
No, neither do I.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Way over in the corner.
Oh, yeah. There's nobody behind the cash register. How about that fellow in the white T-shirt standing by the cigarette machine?
Yeah, looks like he works here. Let's go. Joe, guy with him. Just turned towards
Bruno, come on.
He sees us. He's going for the back.
All right, you, let's hold it up. Come on.
He ducked in there to the right, Joe.
Down behind the alleys. Hold it up, Stock.
The window, Joe.
Went right through it. Come on. Here.
There he is. Get out.
Joe! He's in there, Beck. Cover the front.
Right. Over the fence, Joe. There he is.
All right, give it back.
Yep.
Come on.
You see?
No.
Got to be in the yard someplace.
Yeah.
Where'd it come from?
I can't see. Keep down.
Backstairs of that house. There he is.
Give it up, Stock. All right, mister.
You tag him.
Come on.
What's it look like?
Wait a minute. It's a shoulder wound. You want to shake him down?
Yeah.
Joe? Ben? You all right?
Yeah. Get an ambulance, will you, Beck?
Right.
I'll throw the cuffs on him, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's it, Joe.
Yeah.
Where you going?
I got a phone call to make.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 18th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. In the Record Bureau of all metropolitan police departments, there's a special file in which all known criminals are cataloged and cross-indexed according to identifying marks. Marks which help the working detective. And so, with the cigarette, the outstanding identifying mark of Fatima is quality. The careful selection and blending of only the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos to make Fatima extra mild. Now, if you're a long cigarette smoker, you'll find, like I did, that every pack is extra mild. You'll find it's the best of long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima.
Bruno Alfred Stock was tried and convicted of first-degree robbery and assault with intent to commit murder, 2 counts. Because of his prior convictions, he was adjudged an habitual criminal and sentenced to a life imprisonment. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Coming up, Duffy's Tavern. Next Tuesday, it's Fibber McGee on NBC.
Stay tuned to HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. Unidentified thieves start a campaign of burglaries in your city. Homes are broken into and stripped of their furnishings. There's no lead on the criminals. Your job, get 'em.
When you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. If you want a long cigarette, smoke that best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 3rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the business office, and it was 9:25 a.m. when I got to room 45, burglary detail.
Did you get all the money together, Joe?
Yeah, $1 from each man in the detail. We got to buy the gift.
When's Austin going to get married?
Next Sunday. We haven't got too much time.
You know why we always have to pick out the gifts?
Somebody has to do it. You got any ideas what we ought to get him?
Talked to my wife over the weekend. She thinks it'd be nice if we get him something to start housekeeping with. Maybe some nice kitchenware, table lamp.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough dough for a good lamp. But maybe they might like a bedspread. You can always use them. Or maybe a nice wool blanket, huh?
I don't know. Got to be careful about those personal things.
What do you mean? What's personal about a blanket?
Well, we don't know much about the girl Austin's going to marry. She might not need any.
Excuse me. Could you tell me something?
What's that?
I said, could you tell me something?
Well, what do you want to know, little girl?
Is this where you come to report about stolen things?
Oh, no, that all depends. Why don't you come on in and tell us all about it, huh?
Thank you, I will.
Like to sit down, little girl?
I'm 12 years old. I'll stand if it's all right.
All right. Now, would you like to tell us what's been stolen?
Everything.
Hmm?
Everything's been stolen. We came back this morning and found it that way. Grandpa's awful mad.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we better get the facts to start with. What's your name?
Ruth Ann Marie Jeanette.
Jeanette. That's your last name?
No, Snyder. Ruth Ann Marie Jeanette Snyder.
Did you come down here alone, Ruth?
Yes, Grandpa sent me. He's awful mad.
Where do you live?
With Grandpa.
Where's that?
Over on College Avenue. Grandpa's leg's bothering him. Arthritis. So he told me to come down and tell you about it.
About what, man?
Everything. We came back this morning on the train, and when we got home, we found everything was stolen. It's terrible.
What do you mean by everything?
I walked all the way over here to tell you. I'm thirsty. Is there a drinking fountain in the hall?
Oh, we've got a cooler over here. Let me get you a cup, huh?
Thank you.
Would you like a drink, Ben?
Oh, no, thanks.
All right, little lady. Here you are.
Thank you very much.
Now, would you like to tell us what it's all about?
Grandpa and I got back to Los Angeles on the train this morning. We've been on a trip back to Indiana.
Uh-huh.
We took a taxi cab home from the station. When we got there, everything was gone. Everything but the rug in the dining room.
Yeah?
All the furniture, every single bit. The sofa, the chairs, my desk upstairs, the stove. Everything's been stolen. I want you to find it.
Means someone broke in while you were gone and took all your furniture. Is that what you think?
You know they did. The lock on the back door, it was broken. They took everything but the dining room rug. That's why Grandpa's home now. He thinks the crooks will be back. He's sitting on the rug because he says if they take that, they'll have to take him, too. We better hurry.
Yeah?
Grandpa's not very big.
9:45 a.m. Ben and I drove little Ruth Ann Snyder back to her home on College Avenue. It was an old-fashioned wooden frame structure a few doors up from College Avenue and Everett Way. Ruth Ann showed us inside and introduced us to her grandfather, Mr. John H. Snyder, age 78. He told us that a year ago, he and his wife, Ruth Ann's grandmother, had come to California from Indiana and rented the house on College Avenue. The grandmother had fallen ill and passed away suddenly 3 weeks ago. He and Ruth Ann closed the house and took the body back to Indiana on the train for burial. On their return that morning, they found the house stripped of every piece of furniture. We checked room by room and listed the missing articles. We put in a call to latent fingerprints.
Do you happen to know the serial numbers of your home appliances, Mr. Snyder?
No, sir. I've lived with most of the furniture for 40 years. You get to know the things you own in 40 years.
I know what was in my room, Sergeant. My desk, my table and chair, the bed, the curtains. They took everything.
Well, how about the estimated value of the furniture, sir? What would you say it was worth?
Dollars and cents? Oh, I don't know. What's a house full of furniture worth to anyone? Guess everybody puts their own value on their things.
Yes, sir, they do.
Solid walnut dining set, a wedding present, mahogany front room table, a solid too. It cost money in their day. All gone.
Were there any liens against the furniture, sir?
How's that?
Did you owe anything on the furniture? I mean, there was no trouble with the finance company or anything like that.
Oh, we didn't even know what a finance company was when the wife and I was married. It was a sad enough trip as it was. And Ruthie and me get here this morning, and everything's gone. All we own. Ruthie.
Yes, Grandpa?
Where the thieves broke in, would you show the officers, please?
It's back this way.
Okay.
How are you and your grandfather going to make out here, Ruth?
Well, Grandpa says we'll buy 2 cots for tonight, Army surplus. There's no stove to cook on. We'll have to eat out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll have to go back to Indiana. Grandpa doesn't have much money. He's on a pension. Here's the back door. We'll see what they did to get in.
Must have used a hammer and a crowbar. Smashed it clean through.
You'll find the crooks, won't you, Sergeant?
We're going to try, Ruth. Better have the crime lab check this, huh?
Yeah. How about your neighbors, Ruth? You know any of them well?
I know who they are. I don't know any of them good. They're not very friendly.
We'd like to ask you and your grandfather a few more questions, Ruth.
All right. I don't know what I'm going to do when school starts. They stole all my stuff, even my composition tablets. I didn't have to take those.
Which grade are you in, Ruthie?
I was in A7. I'll be in the B8. Why would they take my school things?
I don't know.
You see how they got in back there?
Yes, sir, we did. By any chance, did any of your neighbors know that you and Ruth here were going away?
Well, I didn't mention it, no.
Then no one kept an eye on your house while you were gone?
No, I didn't think it was necessary.
Might have helped.
I just remembered, Grandpa. Mrs. Merton. I told her we were going away.
Who's that, Ruth?
She runs a store down at the corner, the bird store.
Yeah.
She sells canaries, other kinds of birds, too. Mrs. Merton's her name. Store's right down the corner.
You figure she's the only one who knew you'd be gone from the house for some time.
Must have been the only one.
All right, Mr. Snyder, we'll be back to see you later on. And here's our card. We'll see if we can't do something to help you out here.
Let's see here. Friday, Romero, burglary detail. All right, thank you, boy. Ruthie will show you to the door.
Yes, Grandpa.
Miss Snyder.
Goodbye, sir.
Oh, say there.
Yes, sir.
Guess you understand, but I'd like to apologize anyway. I just couldn't do it.
What's that, sir?
Offer you a chair.
10:30 a.m. Ben and I called the Salvation Army and told them the Snyder situation. And then we went down the street to the store at the corner of Coolidge Avenue and Everett Way. The sign on the window said Mrs. Merton's Birdland, manager Agnes Merton. We tried the door. It was locked. A cardboard clock hanging on the glass door read, "Be back at 1 p.m." So we went back up to College Avenue and we started ringing doorbells. Some of the residents on the block didn't even know the Snyders. Of those that did, only 2 had noticed any activity at the house during the 3 weeks Mr. Snyder and his granddaughter had been away. They told us that they'd seen a moving van parked in front of the house about a week before. They also saw men moving furniture from the house into the van. Neither of the 2 could describe the vehicle or remember its license number. 12:45 p.m. We had a cup of coffee and a hamburger, and then we headed back for Mrs. Merton's bird store. Yes, ma'am. Police officers. I have a few questions for you.
Certainly. Something about birds?
No, ma'am. About one of your neighbors.
Oh.
The Snyders? They live just up the street from me.
Oh, yes, old couple. Poor Mrs. Snyder passed away, you know, a few weeks ago.
Yes, ma'am, we know.
They have a wonderful granddaughter, Ruthie. She and I are getting to be great friends. The Snyders having some kind of trouble?
We're investigating a burglary at their house.
Oh, is that
Now, you be quiet, Mary. You heard what I told Blackie. Just eat your food and be quiet.
I guess you knew the Snyders have been away for the last few weeks.
Yes, I did, but they're back. I saw Ruthie pass the window this morning.
You noticed any activity around the Snyder's house since they've been gone?
Well, yes, I did.
And just what you noticed, Miss Merton?
Well, it was 7 or 8 days ago, I think. Some white moving truck stopped in front of their place, and 2 men started moving out Snyder's furniture.
Uh-huh.
Thought it was a little strange because Ruthie hadn't told me anything about moving. And in fact, she said definitely she and her grandpa were coming back after poor Mrs. Snyder's funeral in Indiana.
Did you investigate it all, ma'am?
Excuse me. Who is that? You, Fred? Yes, you ought to be ashamed. You can see I'm busy. Another outburst like that, and all 3 of you, Fred, Blackie, Mary, I'll take care of you. Now, where was I?
You saw the moving van in front of the Snyders.
Oh, yes, and I went up to the moving men and asked them if the Snyders were going back to Indiana. Well, of course, they didn't know anything about it.
Did you inquire at the Snyders' house?
Well, no, it so happened I didn't. I was on my way to one of the big aviaries in the valley, and I just didn't have time to stop.
How about the moving van? Did you happen to notice the license?
I don't remember the numbers.
Any identifying marks about the truck you might remember? Maybe a sign on the side?
Yes, the side of the truck was painted white, and there was large blue lettering on it, van and storage, it said. I remember that much.
Was that all?
Well, yes, as I said, I was in a hurry. I had to pick up 3 sick canaries out in the valley.
Is there anything else about the incident you can remember? Anything at all?
No, I'm afraid not.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Merton. Here's our card if you happen to come across any further information.
Yes, all right. I'll have to go see the Snyders. Maybe I can help.
Fine. Goodbye, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yes, goodbye.
Bye.
Fred, now you stop up just a minute. Fred?
Yeah, not much help there.
Not much. Give me an idea, though. Wedding present for the Austins.
Yeah?
Maybe a couple of canaries? In a nice cage?
At 5 p.m., we went back to the office. Reports had come in from 2 more victims. That night, Ben and I drove out to interview them. The circumstances of the theft and the M.O. of the criminals matched identically with the Snyder case. Both of the families victimized had gone off on vacations and neglected to notify either the neighbors or the patrolmen in their area. Both had allowed daily newspapers to collect on their doorsteps in their absence and otherwise left signs that their homes were vacant. In both cases, the thieves had forced an entrance through a back door or a window, stripped the house of every last piece of furniture, and either hauled it away themselves or hired somebody to do it for them. We started canvassing the 2 areas where the crimes had been reported. Again, the neighbors saw the moving vans, but none were able to definitely identify the vehicles or their license numbers. Captain Fulton called us into his office.
You're going to have to try harder. I know they're hard to get, but get them fast.
Done about everything we can so far, Skipper.
Only one small lead. The thieves seemed to be using a different moving van on each job. We started to check the movers around town, the transfer companies.
Leighton Prince come up with anything yet?
No luck there.
One of the lousiest rackets we've had since I came on this detail. Whole house full of furniture, everything a family owns.
Yeah. Well, we'll stay on top of it. The stats office may come up with something.
How about an outlet for all that stuff that's been stolen? Thieves can't be sitting on it.
Pawn shop and second-hand details have been alerted.
They're checking regular outlets, auction houses, second-hand places. Nothing yet.
What about some kind of preventive idea? At least slow them down.
Good dose of publicity on the whole thing would help. If only people wouldn't keep it a secret when they're going away. Neighbors aren't alerted. That's why a lot of them didn't think much of it when they saw the moving vans parked at those houses.
And drawing blinds and the newspapers on the doorsteps didn't help much either. It's an open invitation.
Well, I'll see what we can do on the publicity end. We've had one campaign on this already. No, excuse me. Burglary, Captain Fulton. What's the address? Okay, I got it. Thank you. Here you go, another one. 63R just called it in. Family back from vacation. Furniture all gone. Here's the address here.
Thank you.
Better get on it right away.
Let's go.
I'll have a little more help for you on this tomorrow. Crowley and Barnes will be free. They can work with you.
Okay, Skipper.
Check you later.
Right.
Sergeant Friday?
Oh, yes,
you
ma'am.
remember me, don't you, Mrs. Merton?
Oh, sure. The bird store. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Well, they told me to wait here. I guess everything will be all right now.
Yeah?
I saw it today on Olive Street. Here. The truck that came to Snyder's house. That's the license number.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Here is the reason why. When you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
And because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more and more smokers say it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
I agree, says Dick Hyland, sports columnist.
I agree, says Mrs. Deems Taylor, painter and theatrical designer.
I agree, says Frank Fenton, author.
Yes, all agree. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima. Best of all, long cigarettes.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette.
Tuesday, August 11th, 6 p.m. The license number, which Mrs. Merton had given us, was checked through DMV. We found that the truck was registered in the name of a local second-hand furniture dealer by the name of Ralph Grismore. We checked his name through the police commission and then the I Bureau. He had a good reputation, no criminal record. Early the next morning, we picked up Mr. Snyder and his granddaughter, Ruth, and we drove to Grismore's second-hand furniture store. We identified ourselves and asked to look at his buy book. Under the date of July 27th, Grismore had recorded the purchase of more than 3 dozen articles of furniture from a house on College Avenue. The address was that of the Snyders.
The man and the woman, Sergeant, they said they'd sold their house and they were going east. Man said the company he worked for transferred him to Boston. Told me he had to get back to take over his new job.
Would you recognize the people if you saw them again, Grismore?
Sure, I think so. The woman was a great talker. She said they figured on selling the stuff piece by piece. They'd get more, but since they had to leave town the next day, she decided to sell the whole lot to a dealer.
You got the furniture for a pretty low price, didn't you?
Pretty good price, yeah. That's why I went along in the fast deal. Wasn't going to talk myself out of a bargain. They wanted to sell fast, so I wanted to buy. I didn't think anything was wrong.
Sergeant?
Yeah, Mrs. Snyder?
Our walnut dining room set. That's it right over there.
You sure, Mr. Snyder?
Cigar burn on top, just above one of the legs. Know it anywhere. Seems to me that's our mahogany table. I'll look.
Sergeant, my table and my desk, here they are right here. My school stuff, too.
All right, Ruthie.
Yeah, they sure stuck me all right. That's the last fast deal I ever make.
How did they contact you, Grismore? What kind of approach did they use?
Called me on the phone, and I came out and gave them an appraisal on the stuff. Nothing suspicious about either the man or the woman.
That's so?
She was in a house dress, bandana around her head. The guy was in old clothes, just as homey as you please. Looked like he was doing a little repair work around the house, you know.
Mm-hmm. You notice if they had a car parked by the house?
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't. There wasn't any in the driveway.
Mm-hmm. No argument over the price you offered them for the furniture?
No. They seemed to hesitate a little, but they took my first offer. I thought I had a good deal. I don't know.
How'd they react after you agreed on a price? In a hurry?
Said they had to board the train that night for Boston. They asked me to get the furniture out right away.
Mm-hmm.
The woman said they had other business to wind up, so if they weren't at the house when I came back with the van, why, she'd leave the back door open for me.
I guess you realize you were going to have to place a hold on this furniture that you bought.
Yeah, I know. I got no one to blame but myself.
And you gave this man and woman a check for the full amount of the sale. Is that right, Grismer?
$550 down the drain.
Do you have the canceled check?
No, not yet. If you like, you can probably get it from the bank. Don't imagine those crooks would waste any time cashing.
Mm-hmm. We'd appreciate it if you'd run down to the bank with us now.
Okay, sir.
Sergeant, could I speak with Mr. Grismore?
Sure, Mr. Snyder.
Mr. Grismore.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry about all this. I didn't know.
Oh, I understand, sir. You buy furniture, don't you?
Yes, sir.
What could you give me for 2 Army surplus cots?
Grismore made arrangements to round up Mr. Snyder's furniture and ship it back to his home. Then we took him down to his bank where he recovered the canceled check for $550. The endorsement read, Mr. Thomas Butterworth. According to the bank teller who waited on them, the suspects had cashed the check shortly after the sale of the Snyder's furniture. From the second-hand dealer and the clerk at the bank, we got a complete description of the man and woman known as Mr. and Mrs. Butterworth. We also had photostatic copies made of the check and specimens of the handwriting from the endorsement. From the descriptions, we checked the suspects through the stats office. We got nowhere. During the next 2 weeks, we found 6 more second-hand dealers who had been taken in on the same furniture deal. The description of the man and woman matched, and so did the handwriting in the endorsements on each check. There was only one variation. The couple went under a different name on each occasion. Wednesday, August 26th, 9 a.m.
12 cases like this today, is that right?
That's it, Captain. Got the description, M.O. handwriting. Still can't reach him.
Those thieves have been freewheeling for a month now. What's going to take to stop them?
Well, Ben came up with a pretty good idea this morning. We'd like to talk it over with you.
Oh, what's that?
Kind of a system of decoy, Skipper. We were thinking it might be a good idea to contact all the division captains and have them ask their men if they have any neighbors going on vacation.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if we got a few dozen houses spotted around the city, we could plant a few things. Make them look obviously vacant.
We'd keep the houses covered at all times. They ought to make pretty good bait for those thieves.
Uh-huh. How would you set it up?
We could make arrangements to get a key to each home, keep the milk and paper deliveries coming, let them pile up on the doorstep. We could reimburse the people for whatever it cost.
We're not making any headway. We could run this for a couple of weeks, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Try it.
9:30 a.m. We contacted all division commanders requesting them to ask their men to contact burglary detail if they knew of any of their neighbors about to leave on a vacation. During the next 2 days, the response came in and the plan went into effect. 40 homes throughout the city were spotted as decoys. They were kept under surveillance at all times. In the week that followed, 2 more burglaries of the same type were reported, but the suspects failed to try any of the decoy homes. The men in the pawn shop and second-hand details continued to work right along with us. The stolen furniture kept turning up, but not the thieves. Again, the homes that had been broken into displayed all the usual signs that the occupants were away. Old circulars and newspapers scattered on the lawn, milk bottles lined up at the door, all the blinds drawn. The decoy plan continued. No results. August 31st, we had a report of another burglary involving the theft of furniture. We made our investigation. 2 p.m. We went back to the office to get out a list of stolen articles.
Hi, Ben. Joe?
Hi, Austin. When'd you get back from your honeymoon?
Late last night. Say, Thelma, I'd sure like to thank all you fellas for that wedding present you sent us. Darn nice of you.
Well, we're glad you liked it, Austin.
Sure a beauty. I'd like to ask you a question about it, though. I hope you won't take it wrong.
No, go ahead.
Well, what is it?
You've got an early American house, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
It's an antique.
Yeah?
It's an apple peeler. One of the first ever built.
Oh, sure. Thanks a lot.
I get it. Burglary Friday. Yeah? Where? Right away, thanks. One of the decoy houses.
Yeah?
We got a bite. Together with Sergeants Crowley and Austin, we drove out to the decoy house where an unidentified man and a woman had been seen forcing entry through a back door. They'd been spotted by a police officer's wife who lived next door and who had called in the report. We parked down the street from the decoy home and waited. 5 minutes passed. We saw a woman dressed in a housecoat come out onto the porch of the house, look up and down the street, and then go back inside. A few minutes after that, a gray Chevrolet sedan pulled up in front of the house. A man in a dark suit got out and entered through the front door. Ben called communications for a make on the car.
80K to Control 4. 80K to Control 4. Request DMV on 6 Mary 6778. Repeat, 6M 6778. Information urgent.
Roger, 80K. KMA 367.
We waited. There were no signs of activity from the decoy house. 2 minutes after Ben put in the call, we got our make on the gray sedan.
Control 4 to 80K.
80K, go ahead.
6 Mary 6778. 6M 6778 is registered to the Donahoe Furniture Company. Legal the same. 7811 Harvard Boulevard. It is a Chevrolet Deluxe 2-door sedan, 1941 model. Engine number C6VA4414.
80K, Roger. KMA 367.
A few minutes after the call back, a moving van drove down the street and backed into the driveway of the decoy house. The sign on the side of the van read Donahoe Furniture Company. 2 men got out, went up to the front door, and were let in. They came out in a couple of minutes and loaded a sofa into the moving van.
Okay, Joe.
Crowley and Austin get the sign.
Yeah, here they come.
Let's go. Hey, you and Crowley want to cover the back, Austin?
Right. Let's go, Crowley. Yeah.
Come on, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. You want something?
Police officers like...
Call in the cops! Run, Helen!
Stand still, you.
Austin and Crowley got her.
All right, hold still, mister.
Oh,
Hold still.
hey, what's this all about, you cops?
That's right. You?
Max Donahoe, I'm buying this lot of furniture. Something the matter?
You're buying from the wrong people. They're not the owners. You better have your men move that stuff back in the house.
Okay, if you say so.
All right, lady, relax. Take it easy, Helen. There's no use fighting. They got us.
Whose fault is it? I told you luck doesn't last forever.
Okay, all right. Don't make it worse.
All right, let's go.
I'll take her, Austin. You better fix your shirt.
Yeah.
Come on, lady.
Get your hands.
Hey, what's the matter with your shirt, Austin?
Look, must have happened when she tried to get away.
Yeah, lipstick all over the collar there.
Doesn't look very good.
No, it doesn't. What are you going to tell your new bride?
I got nothing to hide. I'll tell her the truth.
Yeah?
She'll believe me. Won't she?
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 25th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Under our system of law, the jury selected to hear a case is accorded complete freedom. The jury's decision is the final result of the testimony and evidence presented in the course of the trial. And so, with Fatima, they are the final result of carefully selecting and blending only the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos to make Fatima extra mild. If you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, buy a pack of Fatimas and compare them with other long cigarettes, and you'll see the difference is quality. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. So, smoke Fatima.
The suspects were identified as Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Dunbar. They were arraigned on 15 counts of burglary and tried and found guilty on all counts. They are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice came from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Coming up, Duffy's Tavern. Bob Hope returns October 3rd on NBC.
Actor and producer Jack Webb's aim in Dragnet were for realism and unpretentious acting. He achieved both goals, and Dragnet remains a key influence on subsequent police dramas in many media. The show's cultural impact is demonstrated by the fact that even after 5 decades, elements of Dragnet are known to those who have never heard nor seen the program. The ominous 4-note introduction to the brass and timpani theme music titled Danger Ahead is instantly recognizable, as well as the show's opening narration. Stay tuned for more Dragnet right here on HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A socially prominent citizen is plotting to kill his wife. He tells you his plans for the murder. He hires you to do the killing. Your job, stop him.
When you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Fatima is the quality, king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
You'll find king-size Fatima different from other long cigarettes. They cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 17th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 4:18 p.m. when we got to room 26, chief of detectives' office.
Come on in, man. Have a seat. Did you close the door, Friday?
Yep, sure.
Captain Steed, Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday. I'd like to have you meet Special Agent Ray Kimball, Public Utilities Commissioner.
Mr. Kimball. Mr. Kimball.
And his friend, Mr. Trudeau.
How do you do?
Mr. Trudeau. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, Mr. Kimball and Mr. Trudeau here have some important information to give us. Mr. Trudeau, would you like to repeat for these officers what you told us a few moments ago?
Yes, sir. Well, a friend of mine wants me to kill his wife for him. I'm convinced he means to go through with the thing.
Naturally, it goes without saying that Kimball here will back up the veracity of the story.
Well, Mr. Trudeau, who is your friend? How long have you known him?
His name's Charles Stone. Guess maybe you heard of him. Owns a string of warehouses around town. I used to work for him.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the other day he called me and asked me if I was working. I told him no. Then he asked me to meet him in front of the public library. That was last Saturday afternoon.
Did you meet him?
Yes, I did. And he took me to a bar in the neighborhood, started telling me all about his troubles at home.
Mm-hmm.
He said his wife was stepping out on him, running around with other men. Well, we had quite a few drinks, and I guess I thought that's what accounted for it.
What's that, Mr. Trudeau?
Well, he leaned toward me and he said, "Here's the dope. The wife and I haven't been getting along well at all for about a year. She's stepping out with some other guy on me, and to make a long story short, well, that's when he told me."
Yes, sir.
He said, "I want to lose her. What do you say?" Well, I told him I didn't quite get the drift of the thing, and then he said, "I want my wife killed. I'll pay you $1,000 for the job."
Mr. Trudeau, have you any idea why he contacted you on this thing?
Well, I don't know, other than the fact that I hadn't been able to work for some time. He knew I needed the money pretty badly. As soon as I was sure he wasn't kidding about the murder, I told Mr. Kimball here. He's an old friend of mine.
Yeah.
He said the only thing to do was to take it to the police.
Did this Mr. Stone make this proposition to you more than once?
Yes, he did. Kept reminding me how much I could use the $1,000. Well, all I could say was that I knew his wife too well. I couldn't do it.
What did Stone say to that, sir?
Said I had cold feet. Told me I was just like another man he'd lined up to kill his wife. Told me if I didn't want the job, he'd get someone else to do it.
Do you think he might go for a substitute, Mr. Trudeau, one of our men?
Well, I don't know, Chief. There's only one thing I'm sure of.
Yes, sir.
He wants his wife dead.
4:42 p.m. The meeting in the chief of detectives' office went on. A man by the name of Charles Stone wanted his wife murdered. He'd offered $1,000 for her death. He'd approached two men to do the job. Both had refused. From the information we'd received, we knew he wouldn't stop there. There are a lot of people who'd kill for $1,000. It was only a matter of time till he found one. A plan was formulated, and Ben and I were assigned to the case. 5 p.m. Together with Captain Steed and Mr. Trudeau, we left Thad Brown's office and went down the hall to homicide.
In your last meeting with Stone, Mr. Trudeau, you refused outright to have anything to do with this plan to have his wife murdered. Is that right?
That's right.
Did you leave any opening at all?
Well, just to get away from the guy, I told him if I heard of anybody that'd do the job, I'd let him know.
You think that maybe he'd listen to you if you went back and suggested somebody?
I don't know. He'd listen to me, but he's no dummy. You got to understand that. He's going to be careful.
Well, which one of you is going to play the killer?
I'd like to try it, Skipper.
Who's going to fit the part best? Trudeau here just told you that Charles Stone's no pushover.
I don't know, Captain. This officer here...
Me?
Yeah, no offense, but I'd sure peg you for a cop.
You would? Why's that?
Well, I don't know. You just look like one, I guess.
Well, Joe is a little closer to average height, weight.
Yeah, that's what I mean, Captain. He doesn't look like a cop.
All right. Now, Mr. Trudeau, you're willing to go along with us on this thing?
Certainly, Captain. Anything I can do. You just tell me what you want.
Well, just as soon as possible, we'd like to have you contact Mr. Stone. You'll know how to approach him so as not to make him suspicious.
Yes, I think I can do that.
Joe, how do you want to go about this?
Well, I better use some kind of an alias. Let's see, Matson. Joe Matson.
Mm-hmm.
How about Kelly? Just plain Kelly?
That's fine with me.
Good. Now, how about your background? Better get that straight with Mr. Trudeau here.
Well, suppose I tell him I'm from Phoenix, huh? Mm-hmm. I know that town pretty well. He might ask me some questions about it.
Okay. And now, how'd you happen to know Trudeau, the Army?
Did you ever serve in the Army, Mr. Trudeau?
Yes, sir. 42 to 45. CBI theater.
All right. Well, we served together in the Army, huh? Let's make it in China. Mm-hmm. Quartermaster Corps, all right?
Mm-hmm. All right. And now, Mr. Trudeau, this is all you'll have to do. Set up a meeting with Stone as soon as possible. Introduce Friday as the man who's willing to do the job for him, an old Army friend. Then step out of the picture as quickly as you can.
All right, Captain. I understand.
It goes without saying, we certainly appreciate your cooperation.
And not at all, sir. Only glad I'm in a position to help out.
You probably saved that woman's life.
I wish I could be sure.
How do you mean, Trudeau?
The last time I saw Charlie Stone was 3 days ago.
Maybe he's hired somebody else.
5:30 p.m. Captain Steed ordered 2 teams of men from Homicide to watch Charles Stone's wife, Mildred, until further notice. For her own protection, she'd be kept under 24-hour surveillance without her knowledge. We checked the I Bureau to see what we could find on Charles Stone. He owned a gun, a .32 Smith & Wesson revolver. That's all we found. He had no criminal record. We knew of him only as a social figure from a prominent family, and supposedly he was happily married. He owned and operated a chain of 6 warehouses throughout Los Angeles. His business reputation was good. Captain Steed ordered that Charles Stone also be placed under 24-hour surveillance immediately. He would be kept under watch without his knowledge. Ben Romero and Gil Encinas were one of the teams assigned to tail him. The next morning, I checked in for work at the usual time. At 10:15 a.m., I left Captain Steed's office and went into the squad room. Homicide, Friday.
This is Mr. Trudeau, Sergeant. I saw Charlie Stone a few minutes ago.
Yes, sir. How'd it go?
We talked about 20 minutes. I told him you might be willing to do the job.
What'd he say?
He wants to meet you.
Before he hung up, Trudeau told me that Charles Stone would meet us that night in Section B in the grandstands at the midget auto races out near Santa Monica. I informed Captain Steed of the development, and then I left the office, went home, put away my gun and all my identification, changed into some old clothes. I boarded a bus and rode back downtown to the Skid Row area, where I rented a single room in a cheap hotel. I signed the register J. Kelly, Phoenix, Arizona. 5:30 p.m. I went to Koken's Cafe on the corner of South Main and Satella Streets. Captain Steed was waiting for me in one of the rear booths.
Hi.
Hi.
You look like you're all set.
How does the outfit strike you, okay?
Yeah, fine. That old leather jacket's a good touch. Oh, better let your beard grow a little.
All right. I rented a room in one of the hotels down here. I could use a little expense money.
Glad you said a little. All right, I'll fix it up for you.
Here's the phone number of the hotel in case you want to contact me.
Good.
There's one thing that's got me a little worried, Skipper.
Yeah?
The legal angle. You know, you can get pretty close to entrapment in cases like this.
Nothing to worry about. You just play it straight down the line.
Yeah?
The idea for the crime has to originate in the mind of the criminal. It's got to be all his idea.
Mm-hmm.
You just go along with him.
Okay.
Be sure and keep us posted.
Yes, I will.
Murder of his wife means a lot to Stone. He wouldn't want anybody getting in his way.
Yeah.
Be careful.
That night I had dinner with Trudeau at a cafeteria on South Grand, and then we caught a bus and rode out to the stadium where they held the midget auto races. We found the seats where Charles Stone was to meet us, numbers 4 and 5, row 27, Section B, main grandstand. The auto races started. At 10 minutes past 8 p.m., Charles Stone arrived. He looked like an average, prosperous businessman, well-dressed, medium build, dark hair that showed a few streaks of gray. Trudeau introduced us, and then he left.
Where you from, Kelly?
Phoenix.
Like midget auto races?
That's not why I came out here. Trudeau said something about a job.
Sure. Guess he told you what it's about.
Yeah?
You ever handle anything like this before?
I'd be a sucker to answer that one, wouldn't I?
I just want to know if you could handle it.
Trudeau told me about it. I wouldn't be here if I couldn't handle it.
It's a delicate job. Gotta be sure it's done right.
What are you looking for, references?
Gotta be careful, that's all.
What about me? I don't know you from Adam. How do I know it won't be a double cross?
Don't worry about a double cross. Let's go below the grandstand. Get away from this crowd.
All right with me. You haven't said anything about money yet.
Plenty of time to talk money.
I'd like to know.
How much you want?
Trudeau said 1,000.
Yeah.
When could you get it?
When would you want it?
Before. I'd be a dope to do the job without getting paid first.
I'd be just as stupid to give it to you first. Say, can I buy you a hot dog, cold drink?
Okay.
Miss?
Yeah,
One hot dog, couple of root beers.
1 dog, 2 beers.
You like root beer?
Sure. How about settling on the dough, huh?
You do the job, you'll get paid. You can ask Trudeau if you like. He'll tell you I keep my word.
Well, it's got to go fast, that's all. I may have a job lined up in Phoenix. I got to get that dough and some new clothes. Got to put up some kind of a front. That's why I need the dough fast, no waiting.
You'll get your money. We can work out something.
Hot dog, 2 root beers, 40. Mustard's on the counter.
There you are.
Thank you.
Just move over there out of the way.
Okay. Well, you haven't told me yet.
What?
How do you want it done?
All depends.
I haven't got my gun. I'm on the lam. Have you got one?
No, I don't own one. Couldn't use a gun anyway. Too much noise.
Well, make up your mind.
We'll meet tomorrow night. We can talk about it then.
Look, mister, you expect me to sit on this thing for a week? I'm not making a career out of just this one job.
What are you worrying about? We'll set everything up tomorrow night.
All right, how about $10 on the cuff? I got 11 flat.
Well, there's 5. See if that'll do.
All right. Now, how about that payoff, the 1,000? How do we set that up?
We can talk about that later.
Why can't we talk now? Look, Stone, I don't think I like your attitude. You haven't told me how you want the job done. You talk cute every time the payoff's mentioned.
Take it easy,
Take
Kelly.
it easy, nothing. I'm taking the chances. How do I know I'm going to get paid?
How do I know you'll kill her?
Before I left Charles Stone, we set up a meeting for the following night at 8 o'clock. I caught a bus and went back to the hotel room. So far, I'd been unable to get any other corroborative evidence on Stone, evidence that could be presented in court. The next morning, I called the office and kept them posted on developments. I had my meals at a lunch counter next door to the hotel, and I stuck pretty close to my room. At 2:30 that afternoon, Ben called.
We tailed Stone to the midget auto races last night, Joe. Do any good?
Well, not bad. It's going a little slow, though.
We tailed him after he left you. He drove to a Beverly Hills address, apartment house.
I thought he lived in Glendale.
He does. The apartment he went to is registered to a Jean Howard. Stayed till 4 this morning. Checked the Howard girl out. She's a secretary at one of Stone's warehouses.
Oh, maybe that explains why Stone wants to get rid of his wife, huh?
Here's one more thing. We tailed him to a gun shop this morning. Bought a couple of things, and after he's gone, we checked with the store clerk. Told us Stone bought a box of shells, 32 caliber.
Same kind of gun he had registered in it, 32 S&W?
Yeah.
That's funny. Stone told me he doesn't own a gun.
Doesn't look too good in my book.
All right, now let's don't start worrying, huh?
Don't trust him a dime's worth, Joe, that's all.
All right. You want to check with me later on? I got to keep this line open.
Yeah, all right. See you later.
Right? Yeah.
This is Stone.
Yeah.
Job's all set up, ready to go.
When?
Tomorrow night.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of New York cover girl Rita Daigle. This is her actual signed statement.
I find Fatima different from other long cigarettes. They cost the same, but in Fatima the difference is quality, and they're extra mild.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended.
And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy king-size Fatima yourself.
You will find king-size Fatima different from other long cigarettes.
They cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Wednesday, February 19th, 8:55 p.m. Charles Stone picked me up in his car at the corner of Alameda and 6th Streets. He turned onto South Broadway and he headed down for the beach. He hunched over the wheel as he drove. I kept wondering how I was going to pin him down. We were less than 24 hours away from the scheduled murder of his wife, and I still didn't have a case against him that'd stand up in court. If he failed to produce sufficient evidence tonight, Stone had a good chance of going free, whether he succeeded in having his wife killed or not. I also had no idea what plans the suspect had made before he hired me to do the killing. There was a definite possibility that he might have arranged for somebody else to commit the actual murder and then set up a double cross with me as the victim. We knew he had a .32 S&W revolver registered in his name, but he denied to me that he even owned a gun. 9:03 p.m., we pulled up in front of Stone's beach house.
Most of the other homes around here are vacant, summer places. People don't start moving in till 1st of May.
But you said you were afraid of the neighbors seeing you here.
There's some living up the next block.
Oh.
Can't afford not to be careful. This one here. There's the front door key. See if you can work it.
I know how it works. You go ahead and open it.
All right.
The living room, huh?
Yeah, bedroom's over here through this door.
All right, what's the story? Where do I start?
My wife should be here about 6 o'clock tomorrow night. She'll be coming down alone to get the house ready for a weekend party.
When do you want me here?
About 4 in the afternoon. Here. Here's the key to the front door.
Better pick it up and hand it to me, huh?
Okay, here you go. First thing you do when you get here is pull out all the drawers in the bedroom bureau, scatter things around, make it look as much like a burglary as you can.
Yeah?
Same here in the living room. Desk drawer, table, cupboards. Turn them inside out, throw things around.
Leave my fingerprints all over everything?
I've taken care of that. Old pair of gloves of mine. You'll find them here in this drawer, remember that.
All right.
Let's see now, Oh, yeah, sash cord. I'm sure this ought to serve the purpose. Shouldn't have any trouble.
Yeah. Piece of rope's pretty new. It's a little slippery.
Won't be with the gloves on. She's not very strong. Shouldn't have any trouble. We'll leave the rope here in the closet.
You sure she's going to be alone?
Positive.
Where am I supposed to hide?
Let me show you. Here. Right by the front door. This closet.
Yeah.
When my wife comes in, closes the door, she'll probably go right to the bedroom and take off her coat. Follow her in, then do it fast while her back's turned. No screams. Neighbors might hear.
All right.
Want it clean and quiet. Do it as quickly as you can. Now, when you're finished, here's what I want you to do with her.
What's that?
Take the body and bring it this way. Come here. Here, I want you to see.
All right.
Across the living room to these French doors. Open this one. You won't have any trouble. Take the body out here on the porch. Come with me now. I want you to get this clear in your mind.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Take her down to this end of the porch. Right to the railing. Leave her here. It's very important. You understand? All the way down to the end of the porch here.
I don't get it, but I guess it's all right.
All right, let's go back in.
Look, Stone, I may forget the layout of this house here. Would you draw a floor plan for me? I don't want to get mixed up here.
No, there's paper in the desk there. You can draw it yourself before you leave tonight.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
Can't afford to take any chances. Now, what was it? Yeah. After you're finished using the rope, I mean.
Yeah.
You'll find some rings on my wife's fingers. Take them all off.
Big setting especially. There'll be a bracelet on her left wrist. Take that, too.
What'll I do with them?
Put them in this white vase in the mantel here. The rings and the bracelet. Don't miss any of the rings. They're expensive.
Well, how about me bringing them to you? I can pick up my dough at the same time.
No, put them in the vase. As soon as that's done, leave here and go back downtown. I'll pick you up where we met tonight, 6 in Alameda, 7:30 sharp. Have the money for you then.
Where are you going to be at 6 o'clock?
I have to cover myself. I'll stay on at the office. Special conference.
I don't know. I don't think I like this.
What do you mean you don't like it?
Suppose something should happen. I got no protection. I'd feel a lot better with a gun.
I told you I don't have a gun to give you. Why would you need one anyway?
Just feel a lot better, that's all.
Buy one if you want. That's your problem. I'm paying you for the job.
I haven't seen your money.
I told you, when the job's done, you get your money then.
There's just one thing I want to make sure of. No mistakes here.
Don't worry, you get your pay. Ask Trudeau if you like. He'll tell you can trust me. You can ask anybody.
How about your wife? Before I left Charles Stone, I got one more valuable piece of evidence out of him, a special phone number written in his handwriting on the back of one of his business cards. In case anything went wrong, I was to call him at this number. In his own handwriting, I also got a list of times that I was supposed to remember. When to come to the house, when to leave, when to meet him for the payoff. The next afternoon at 3:30, I left the hotel and drove my car out to Venice to Stone's beach house. Captain Steed and another officer from Homicide followed me out. We waited in the house together. Shortly before 6 p.m., Mrs. Mildred Stone arrived with Bill, Ben, and Gil and seen us. She refused to believe the story of her husband's plot to have her murdered. Captain Steed laid out the evidence for her.
This key, Mrs. Stone, you recognize it?
Why, yes, it's the one for the front door. It must be Charles.
He gave it to this officer, Mrs. Stone, the man who was supposed to murder you.
No, I don't believe it.
Do you have any idea what's in that closet, ma'am, that one over there?
There's nothing in there. I cleaned it out the last time we were here. I cleaned out all the closets.
I'd like to show it to you, ma'am.
Piece of rope? I never saw that there before.
Mr. Stone gave it to me. It was supposed to be the murder weapon.
Just one more point, ma'am. Over here, please. Do you know what's in this drawer here?
It's empty. It has to be. We never keep anything in there. Only when we move down for the summer months.
Joe?
Right. Pair of your husband's old gloves. Is that right, ma'am?
Well, why would they be there? What for?
I was supposed to wear them while I was in the house so I wouldn't leave fingerprints.
Do you mind if I sit down?
Here you are.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Stone. We know it's a terrible shock for you. I think you realize we had to tell you.
It's all right. You've been very kind. You saved my life. I'm sorry now that happened. It would have been better if he'd succeeded. Much better.
Take it easy, Mrs. Stone.
The shame. Terrible, terrible shame. Is there anything I can do for him?
He wanted to have you murdered, ma'am.
I know that. He wanted me dead.
Yes, ma'am.
There's only one thing.
Yeah?
He's my husband, Sergeant. I love him.
6:45 p.m. I telephoned Charles Stone and told him the job was done. His wife was murdered. He said he'd meet me at 6th and Alameda Streets for the payoff as scheduled. I waited. He failed to show up. At 7:30 p.m., Stone was placed under arrest as he parked his car in front of their Venice beach house. A loaded .32 caliber revolver was found in his pocket. He was taken back to the city hall, the chief of detective's office. Ben and I waited outside the open door. We could hear Thad Brown start the interrogation inside.
Do you know what we have you down here for, Mr. Stone?
No, I haven't the faintest idea.
What would you say if I told you your wife had been murdered?
I think you're crazy.
What would you say if I told you that you're accused of her murder?
It's silly. It's ridiculous. I've been at work all day. I can prove it.
All right, Friday, come in.
Yes, sir.
You ever meet this man before?
I've seen him on Skid Row. I don't know him.
Do you recognize the man you hired to kill your wife?
I didn't know the man. I didn't kill my wife. I don't understand all this.
The name's Kelly, Mr. Stone.
He's some fake officer. He's a Skid Row bum. I don't know him.
I don't think that's going to make it, Stone. Both you and your wife have been tailed constantly for the last couple of days. Photographs taken. Midget auto races. 6th and Alameda. Beverly Hills apartment.
Crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
Mike, would you send the lady in, please?
Mildred, you don't believe all these things you're saying about me, do you?
Here are the rings, Charles. The bracelet, too. I didn't realize how much you wanted them.
Molly, I didn't mean it.
didn't mean it. I don't know what I was thinking of.
There, Charles. There, it's all right now. You'll feel better in a few minutes.
Yes, ma'am. That's all, Friday.
Right.
What's it look like, Joe?
He's starting to talk.
It's got me. He tries to have her murdered. She goes to bat for him.
What's it prove?
He sure must love him. What do you think?
How about a cup of coffee?
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 2nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. To the working detective, the difference between guilt and innocence is proof, in the form of physical evidence, in the form of testimony gathered from reliable witnesses. In determining any suspect's guilt or innocence, the difference is actual proof. Now, when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes, the difference is quality, and Fatima is extra mild. If you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, smoke Fatima. You'll find Fatima different from other long cigarettes. They cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Charles Farnsworth Stone was tried and convicted on soliciting the commission of a felony, 2 counts. He received the sentence as prescribed by law. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Hi, folks. This is Bob on the air for Chesterfield. Every Tuesday night, consult your local paper for time and station Hope.
And Bing, on the air for Chesterfield every Wednesday night, Crosby. I've called this little seminar to teach our new boy the ropes.
Say, Sag, I think it's only fair to warn you, with me selling Chesterfields this year, you'll have to limp along lively to keep up.
Oh, say, since when have you been any competition, lover boy? When we're in pitches together, who always gets the girl?
Which only backs up the old saying, everybody loves a fat man.
Seriously, friends, Skinflint and I, we do agree 100% on this. Chesterfields are milder.
And they leave no unpleasant aftertaste. So always buy our cigarette, Chesterfield.
The best cigarette for you to smoke.
Hear Hope and Crosby Tuesday. Next, We the People on NBC.
HOJO Radio, where the classics come alive.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A store clerk has been murdered, shot to death in a robbery. The holdup man is described as tall, well-dressed. He escapes in a taxicab. Your job, get him.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's different.
Yes, what a difference. In Fatima, the difference is quality. You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
Fatimas cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, August 17th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Walker. My name's Friday. It was 8:35 p.m. when we got to the Church of St. Damien, the vestibule.
That must be her playing the organ.
Yeah, I don't see any stairs. Wonder how you get up there to the loft.
Looks like that might be the sexton over there.
Well, let's ask her.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah?
We're looking for an Ernestine Matthews. Understand she's the organist here at the church.
Well, that's her playing up there now, running over a few pieces for Sunday.
Could you tell us how to get up to the choir loft, sir?
Surely, through that door over there. Follow the stairway straight up. Can't miss.
Thank you.
Sure has been a long time.
Yeah, what's that?
Climbing stairs to a choir loft. Sang a lot in church when I was a kid. Boy soprano.
All right?
They finally threw me out. Voice change.
Yes, did you want something?
Are you Mrs. Ernestine Matthews?
Yes, did you come about the new choir books?
No, ma'am. Police officers.
Oh, can I help you?
It's about your husband, Miss Matthews.
Bert, what about him? Has Bert done something?
He was hurt, ma'am.
Well, I don't understand. Bert's working at the store. What do you mean he was hurt?
There was a holdup.
Dear God, my husband. Was he hurt bad?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is he? I've got to go to him. Is he in pain?
No, ma'am.
What are you trying to say? Dear God, tell me the truth. Which hospital is he in?
They took him to Georgia Street. They helped him all they could.
You're not trying to tell me Bert's dead? You're not trying to tell me that, are you?
I'm sorry, ma'am. In the past 16 days, 7 armed robberies had been committed, apparently by the same man. The suspect was described by victims as tall, heavily built, and very nervous. He was armed. It's cold logic that every suspect who's armed in the commission of a robbery is a potential killer. It's a fact that's been proved 100 times over. The man we were after had proven it again. We'd used every means at our disposal to identify him, through the stats office, the record bureau, latent fingerprints, through informants and witnesses. We'd gotten out an APB on him containing his description and his method of operation. We'd maintained stakeouts. We hadn't reached him in time. Early that evening, a downtown grocery store had been held up. One of the clerks, 31-year-old Bert Matthews, failed to empty the cash register quickly enough, and the bandit shot him 3 times through the chest. He died almost instantly, and the hold-up man escaped. There was only one witness, another clerk who had been on duty in the store with Matthews at the time of the hold-up. His name was Jess Tallman. He was brought to the city hall, where we questioned him further.
Did you see Bert's wife? Does she know?
Yeah, we dropped off at the church on the way in. Drove her to her sister's place.
Still can't get it through my head. One minute I was talking to Bert, next minute he was dead. It's kind of hard to take, you know.
I'd like to go over that description of the hold-up man. You were pretty upset out there at the store. Do you feel up to it now?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, now you just take it easy. Tell us everything you remember and take all the time you need.
Well, I know he was a big guy. Over 6 foot anyway, I'm sure of that. He had a good build, too. Wasn't skinny.
How about his face, Jess? Did you get a good look at it?
Yeah, I did. It was thin, and he kept working it around, you know, twitching like guy was plenty nervous.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us anything else about it?
He was young, about 21, I'd say. Had dark color eyes. That's about all I'd swear to, Sergeant. He had a hat on, I know that.
Mm-hmm. How about the rest of his clothing?
I wouldn't be sure about it. Could have been a gray coat, blue coat, I don't know. I wouldn't want to give you a bum steer.
Did you get a look at the gun?
I couldn't miss that. It was a big one. It wasn't shiny. It was kind of dark blue color. I can see the guy now walking in the store and pointing it at Bert.
What time was that again, Jess, when the bandits showed up?
Just about 7:30. Bert was behind the counter. I was in the back, stacking the shelves. The guy just walked in, pointed the gun, said, "Give me the dough." I heard him say that.
Mm-hmm.
Bert was kind of surprised. He just stood there for a minute, and the guy said, "Hurry up, give me the dough." And Bert said, "Okay, you can have everything." And he reached to get the dough from the cash register. And that's when the guy did it. He hit Bert right in the chest.
What happened then?
Bert moaned a little and fell down on the floor. I got so mad I started running for the guy, but he swung around at me with a gun and said, stay where you are.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to get killed. I stopped. You can't blame me for that, can you?
Did you follow the man when he left?
Well, you see, he backed out of the store, and when he got to the sidewalk, he jammed the gun in his pocket and ran down the street. I ran out after him, saw him jump in a taxicab and take off.
Did you get the cab's number?
Well, he was too far away for that, at least halfway down the block. I know somebody else must have been driving it, though.
How do you know that?
The cab was already moving when the hold-up guy jumped in. He got in the front seat.
How do you know it was the front seat and not the back?
The way those cab doors open, you know. Front doors swing out to the left, back ones swing out to the right.
That ties in, Joe. Used the same MO on those hold-ups last week.
Yeah. You got anything else to add, Jess? Anything you think we ought to know?
It's about the size of it, Sergeant. You don't think I'm yellow, do you?
Well, how do you mean?
I mean, because I stopped when he pointed the gun at me. Guess I should have grabbed him, but that gun looked as big as a cannon. Let's face it, I'm not that much of a hero.
Oh, I'll put in with you, Jess.
Huh?
Neither am I. Along with a team of men from homicide detail, we continued our investigation of the holdup and killing. Ballistics reported that the slugs taken from the body of Burt Matthews had possibly been fired from a .38 caliber Colt revolver. The slugs were in good condition for identification. All the possible suspects picked from the mug books by the victims had been checked out. All of them had been cleared. Fingerprints left by the bandit at the scene of his latest crime were checked out. No make. We tried to check the taxicab used in the escape. We got nowhere. The morning after the Matthews killing, we got a call from Sheriff's Homicide. We went across the street and checked with Inspector Bowers.
Either one of you remember that case about 6 months ago, the Harry Solomon killing?
Oh, yeah, Inspector. It's pretty vague right now. Your men handled it, a county case?
Yeah, let me lay it out for you. It's just possible it might tie in with that killing you fellas had last night.
And what's the angle?
Harry Solomon was a taxi cab driver. The night of February 26th, somebody saw him pick up a fare at Sunset and Highland about 10:30 p.m. That's the last time he was seen alive.
Yeah, I think I remember.
The next morning, we found Solomon's body in a ditch out in the valley. 2 .38 slugs in his head. Found his cab a few yards up the road, abandoned.
Killer used a .38, same kind of gun used on last night's job.
Here's something else that ties in.
Yeah?
A description of the passenger Solomon picked up at Sunset and Highland the night he was murdered. The last fare he ever handled.
Mm-hmm. White male American. Over 6 feet tall, heavy build. Age, 20, 21, dark eyes. Had a dark suit on and a hat.
Matches up all the way down the line.
You had a robbery motive figured on the Solomon killing, didn't you?
That's right. Except for a $5 bill hidden in his wallet, Solomon didn't have a penny of his receipts for the night. Might have been another reason behind the killing besides that.
Yeah?
It's just barely possible Solomon might have known the hold-up man, the guy who killed him.
How do you figure?
Solomon had been a cabbie for 14 years before he was murdered. From this hold-up man's M.O., using cabs for a getaway car, it's possible he might have been a cab driver at some time or other.
You mean if the killer got in the cab and thought Solomon recognized him, was suspicious of him?
That's right. Could have been reason enough for him to kill Solomon. I know there's a lot of coulds and ifs and maybes in it, but I thought you might be interested.
Well, we'll check it out first thing. How are your men coming on the Solomon case?
Progress is pretty slow.
Well, we'll keep you posted on anything new.
Fine. If we can help, let me know.
Right. Bye. Well, 2 sets of .38 slugs.
What do you think?
Let's ask the crime lab. We put in a request to Russ Camp and Ballistics to check the .38 slugs found in taxi driver Solomon's body against those found in the body of grocery clerk Burt Matthews. Then we contacted the special agent at the taxi cab company. We asked him for pictures of all their drivers employed by the company during the past year who were 6 feet in height or over. He told us that they'd have a file ready for us the following morning. We drove back to the office and checked in with Russ Camp at the crime lab. He was examining the .38 slugs under the comparison light.
Just a few more minutes, fellas. Have a chair.
Yeah, all right.
Not much luck so far. No. No. Yeah. Well, that's it.
Yeah?
No make. These slugs come from 2 different guns.
That night, 2 more armed robberies were committed. One at a liquor store, the other at a cafe. In both cases, the hold-up man escaped in a taxi cab. The description of the man who robbed the liquor store matched that of the bandit who shot and killed Burt Matthews. The big switch came when we checked the cafe hold-up. There, the victims described the suspect as short and fat with dark blonde hair. He had a deep scar on his chin. During the robbery, this suspect had become so nervous that he dropped his gun, but he'd succeeded in getting outside and escaping in a taxi cab before he could be apprehended. The gun was taken back to latent fingerprints and checked. It was clean. Russ Camp checked it through ballistics.
Some days are like this, fellas.
What do you mean?
That cab driver, Solomon, was shot with a .38.
Yeah?
Bert Matthews was shot with a .38, a different one, though.
Mm-hmm.
This gun the bandit dropped tonight, it's a .38, too.
Yeah, we know that. What are you getting at?
Doesn't match either case.
The next morning, we started working one of the few leads we had left. We drove down to the taxicab company and collected the pictures of all the drivers that they employed during the past year who were 6 feet in height or over. There were 87 of them. We started checking them out. It's what the working detective calls legwork. It's slow and it's tedious, and you're not sure it's going to amount to anything even by the time you finish. 2 nights later, the taxicab bandit hit again. His first repeater. A restaurant on South Figueroa. He'd robbed the same place less than 3 weeks before. Ben and I interviewed the manager, a Mr. Cavallo.
Telling you, Sergeant, I can't take any more of it. Twice in 1 month.
Yes, sir. Could we talk back there in one of the booths?
Oh, yeah. Come on.
You got a good look at the man, did you, Mr. Cavallo?
2 feet from him. Memorized his face from the first time. It's no joke, you know. So I have no time for the customers. I'm too busy opening the cash box for that thief. Here, sit down.
Thanks.
Well, and you're positive it's the same man who robbed you before. There's no question there, huh?
None, I'm positive.
And he used the same M.O., too.
Yeah, sure. M.O.? What's that?
Oh, excuse me. I mean, he used the same approach, the same method of operation.
Everything was the same. The man, the gun, the taxi cab, everything.
You didn't get the number of the cab.
I looked for it. I didn't see any. Must cover it up some way.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got some pictures here, Mr. Cavallo. I'd like to have you look at them. Just tell us if you recognize any of them.
Well, I won't do any good. I already did that. They showed me pictures the last time.
This is a different lot, sir.
Oh, all right. Quite a few of them, huh?
I'd like to have you check each one of them carefully, if you would. Just take your time.
Yeah, we can't sit here without coffee. Natalie!
Well, I wouldn't...
Natalie!
I don't care for anything.
Yeah, don't be silly. You can't work without eating. Natalie!
Yeah.
Coffee, 3 cups.
Okay.
And now, where do I start?
Well, these right here, if you'd just check these over, please.
Uh-huh. No, not him. Not him either.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it's hot. No, not that one. No. Is that all?
No, have some more here.
Oh. Hey, that's an ugly-looking guy, huh? Look at that scar.
They look familiar?
No.
Better check with the skipper when we're finished here.
Yeah, it's been a couple hours, hasn't it?
That lousy, no-good thief.
Sir?
Right here, this one. That's the guy.
You sure?
I opened my cash box twice for him. I'd know his face in a million.
Morris Copley, age 21. Description matches. Let's go, Ben.
Thanks, Mr. Cavallo.
It's only 40 minutes since the robbery. He's probably not even home yet. What can you do?
We'll wait up. 10:30 p.m. We parked down the street from 527 Dayton Avenue, a 2-story white stucco apartment house. We checked the names on the mailboxes. Morris Copley's wasn't on any of them. We rang for the manager.
Copley? Morris Copley, no. He doesn't live here. Never heard of him.
I wonder if you'd take a look at this, man.
This picture, ma'am. You ever seen this man before?
Well, let me get over here in the light. Let me see now. No, he doesn't live here.
And you've never seen him before?
No, I didn't say that. I just said he doesn't live here.
And you have seen him before?
I believe I might have, yes. Matter of fact, I'm sure of it. He's a friend of Mr. Tobin's, apartment 5. Comes to visit Mr. Tobin every now and then.
Is this Mr. Tobin in now, ma'am? We'd like to talk to him.
No, I'm afraid not. He works nights, never comes home before 2 a.m.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a cab driver.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. Oh, no.
Oh, Ah, that's different.
Yes, what a difference.
There's a difference you can hear, there's a difference you can see, but the difference in Fatima is quality.
Yes, friends, when you compare long cigarettes, you'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, plump cigarettes, rolled into the finest paper money can buy.
Quality even to the appearance of the bright, clean yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Fatima's cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
10:45 p.m. In the presence of the manager, we made a search of the apartment registered in the name of Ralph Tobin, the man who was supposed to be a friend of the suspect, Morris Copley. We found nothing that would tie either of them up with the robberies and the killings. Before the manager returned to her apartment, we instructed her to say nothing about our being there in case Tobin or Copley returned. We called the office and told them we'd received an identification on Morris Copley. They checked them both through R&I. Neither had any criminal record. They got out an APB on Copley. We waited. Midnight came. Nothing happened. 1 a.m. 1:30. Still no sign of either man. 1:45.
Somebody's coming around back, Joe.
Yeah, kitchen door.
Maury, you back already?
Hold it right there, mister. Police officers.
I'll fan him.
Who are you? Is this a stick-up?
Police officers.
He's clean, Joe.
Well, what's it all about? What do you want?
You Ralph Tobin?
That's right. This is my apartment.
You know a Morris Copley?
Copley? Yeah, I know him. You're looking for him? He's not here.
We know that. Where is he?
Wish I knew. I'm looking for him, too. He owes me money.
Copley's a pretty steady visitor here, is that right?
He was till I lent him that $65. Haven't seen him since. He took off.
When was that?
When? About 2 weeks ago. Yeah, just about. Look, you mind if I sit down? I'm a little nervous.
Go ahead.
Kind of upsets you, you know. Why are you looking for Maury?
I'd like to have you repeat what you said when you came in that door.
What I said? I asked who you were, didn't I?
No, I mean before that.
Say, I don't think I know what you're getting at, officer.
You said, Maury, you back already? Not what you said?
Yeah, I guess I did. I guess I thought Maury came back to pay me the $65 he borrowed.
You didn't make it sound like that, Tobin. I got the idea you were expecting.
Expecting him? No, I haven't seen Maury in 2 weeks, maybe 3. He took me for $65.
All right, that's enough small talk, mister. Now, Copley's in deep. You're going to match him if we don't get a straight story.
There's some cans of beer in the refrigerator. Let's have one around,
Skip the beer. Where's Copley?
I'll swear on the Bible if you want me to. I don't know. Look, if Maury pulled anything heavy, I'm not in on it.
Ben, you want to check with the manager? Ask her when's the last time she saw Copley here.
Yeah, right.
Now, wait a minute, officers. I want to cooperate. If Maury's in deep, that's his fault, not mine. That's right, isn't it?
That's right. Now, where is he?
I don't know. That's the truth. I'll tell you something else. I wasn't squaring. I saw Maury early tonight, 6 o'clock. Came here and borrowed another $5 from me.
But you don't know where he is now?
No. Say, sure like a can of beer if you don't mind.
All right, sit still. I'll get it for you.
You sure you won't have one?
No, not me.
No, thanks. I don't want him.
There you go.
Good cold beer. I like it when I get nervous. It always calms me down.
Say, Tobin.
Yeah, officer?
You haven't taken your hat off.
Oh, I was nervous. I guess I forgot. There.
Your hair always been dark blonde?
Since I was a kid, yeah, why?
How about that scar on your chin? It's a pretty deep one.
Beer's sure good.
I asked you about the scar.
It's kind of embarrassing. I got a little high one night. Fell off a merry-go-round. Big night.
Now I've heard everything.
We had a robbery report a couple of nights ago, Tobin. Hold-up man was just about your height and weight.
Yeah?
Dark blonde hair. Had a scar on his chin, too.
I'm afraid you got a wrong slant, officer. I worked my cab every night of the week. Wasn't me.
Mind if we have a look at your car outside?
How'd you know I had a car?
We didn't. Let's give it a look, shall we?
Why do you want to look at it?
You haven't anything to hide, have you?
Of course not. I'm not like Maury. He's always in trouble, always on the lam. You probably think it's funny when you check the glove compartment in my car.
Will we?
Yeah, you will.
Why's that?
Keep a gun in there. You know how many cab drivers get shot. A guy can't be too careful.
What kind of gun do you have, Tobin?
Revolver. Regular revolver.
What caliber?
38. Why?
2:30 a.m. We searched his car, picked up his 38 caliber revolver, and then we drove Ralph Tobin back to the office where he was detained for questioning. We had a stakeout placed on his apartment. Russ Camp and ballistics checked Tobin's gun against the slugs which had taken the lives of Harry Solomon and Bert Matthews. It was found beyond the question of a doubt that his gun had been used in the Solomon killing. We confronted Tobin with the evidence. He started talking. He told us that Copley was responsible for the murder of both Solomon and Matthews, that Copley had borrowed his gun for the Solomon job. In all the robberies except one, he described himself only as the accomplice. He drove the getaway taxi cab. The only occasion he tried to handle the actual holdup was at the cafe, where he became so nervous that he had dropped his gun. Before he was booked on suspicion of murder, Tobin told us that Morris Copley still had 2 .38 revolvers in his possession. He insisted he had no idea where Copley was. Ben handled the questioning while a stenographer took Tobin's statement. I contacted Inspector Bowers and informed him of our progress. 11 a.m. I got back to the squad room. All right, did you check back through that personnel record we got from the cab company?
Yeah, I got half an idea, I think.
Yeah?
See here on Copley's application for the job?
No, sure, we checked out all those references. They don't go anywhere.
No, I mean this right here. Married, yes. Children, 1 daughter. Age 4 months. Well, this application's dated May 6th. That means his baby was born in February.
Yeah, sure. Copley was working here then, so it's 10 to 1 the baby was born in a local hospital.
That's what I mean. If we find the right hospital or the doctor, they could lead us to him.
There's the phone book. Let's go. From noon until 4 p.m., we called every hospital, sanitarium, clinic, and rest home listed in the book. The answers were the same. No record of confinement for a Mrs. Morris Copley.
Well, seemed like a good idea. Who are you calling now?
Well, we've got one more, the county hospital. Well, this is Sergeant Friday, Police Department, Robbery Detail. Yes. I'd like to find out if you have any record of confinement for a Mrs. Morris Copley. No, that's Copley. C as in Charlie. Yes, thank you.
He might have sent his wife out of town to have a baby.
That's possible. Yeah. 1118. Thank you. 1118 Rochester, Copley's aunt.
Let's go.
4:30 p.m. Together with Olson and Thaxter from Homicide Detail, we drove out to 1118 Rochester Avenue in the Crenshaw district. The house was vacant. From a neighbor, we learned that Copley's aunt had moved 2 weeks before. We got her address from one of her friends in the neighborhood and finally located her at work in a beauty shop on Melrose Avenue. We posed as traffic investigators. The aunt told us she thought we could find her nephew Morris at home, an address on East 13th Street. 6 p.m. We located the house and parked the cars a half a block away. As we approached the house on foot, we saw a light burning in one of the windows on the left side of the house. Thaxter and Olson covered the back. At a given signal, they entered the back door. Ben and I went through the front.
It's empty.
Yeah. Thaxter!
Nothing back here, Joe. Empty.
That's great.
Looks like somebody passed him a tip-off just in time. Look at the mess this place is in.
We got out in a hurry, all right.
Hey, what's going on here? What do you men think you're doing?
Police officers, your name?
Silvera, one of the neighbors. You looking for the Copleys?
When'd they leave?
20 minutes ago, I guess, in an awful hurry. What's the trouble?
You know where they were going?
Well, no, but you might try Mr. Copley's aunt. She lives over in Rochester.
They're not there.
Well, have you tried his sister's house?
6:45 p.m. The neighbor, Silvera, directed us to the home of Morris Copley's sister, a small frame cottage on the edge of Beverly Hills. The lights were on in the living room, but the shades were drawn. Thaxter and Olson made their way quietly around to the back. Ben and I went up the front steps and rang the bell.
Yes? What do you want?
You Miss Copley?
Yes? What is it?
Police officers, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh, he isn't here. Maury isn't here.
We know he's here.
Living room's empty. Must be in the back, Joe.
You can't. He's in the bedroom with the baby. He's got a gun. You can't go in there.
Where's the bedroom?
It's the end of the hall there, that door. He was sleeping. I think he's awake now.
The baby close to him?
In the same bed. She's propped up on pillows right next to him. He's got that gun with him. Don't go in, please.
Where's the bed situated in the room?
It's right inside the door to the left. Oh, please don't go in. He won't care what happens to the baby.
Ben, I'll open the door. You hit the light switch and cover me. Watch the baby.
You better stay here, Miss Copley. Your baby won't get hurt.
Let's go. All right, let's go in.
Drop it, you! Grab the gun, Ben. All right, come on. I got it, Joe. All right, Copley, get him up. Come on up. Joe?
Yeah, I got him.
Just a little frightened, ma'am. She's all right.
I'll kill you, Mary. You tell him where to find us, didn't you? I'll kill you for that.
Murray, I swear I didn't. I swear.
Lousy dame. Nobody else knows she's the one who told you, isn't she?
No.
Then who did? Who told you?
You're looking at her.
What do you mean?
Your baby.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 16th, trial was held in Superior Court, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. The working detective knows that there is one mark of identification that never changes, a man's fingerprints. The suspect may change his appearance in many ways, but his fingerprints always remain the same, a mark of identity that cannot be changed. When you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes, the difference is quality, a mark of identity which never changes. And Fatima is extra mild. If you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, smoke Fatima. They cost the same, but in Fatima the difference is quality. Smoke Fatima.
Morris John Copley and Ralph Edward Tobin were tried and convicted of murder in the first degree, 2 counts. They were both sentenced to be executed in the lethal gas chamber of the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Coming up, We the People. Tomorrow, enjoy The Life of Riley on NBC.
The original Dragnet, starring Jack Webb as Sergeant Joe Friday, ran on radio from June 3rd, 1949 to February 26th, 1957, and on television from December 16th, 1951 to August 23rd, 1959, and then from January 12th, 1967 to April 16th, 1970. All those versions ran, of course, on NBC. There were 2 Dragnet feature films, a straight adaptation starring Jack Webb in 1954, and, of course, a favorite of mine, a comedy spoof in 1987. There were also television revivals without Webb in 1989 and 2003. Stay tuned for more classic Dragnet, right here on HOJO Radio.
In Colorado Springs, Colorado, a group of men are gathered together for their annual conference. For their day-in, day-out service to the public, Dragnet honors the 57th Annual Conference of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. A man posing as a doctor is burglarizing homes in your city. You have his description. Your job, find him.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's different.
Yes, what a difference. In Fatima, the difference is quality. You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
Fatimas cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. best of all, long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented story of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, November 22nd. It was chilly in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 9:35 a.m. when we got to 5918 Canyon Cove, the home of Marla Hutchins.
Yes,
Miss Marla Hutchins?
I'm Miss Marla Hutchins.
We're police officers, ma'am. This is Sergeant Romero. I'm Sergeant Friday, Central Burglary.
Come in.
Thank you.
Betty told me she called you.
Your maid?
Yes, I'm Betty Gregg. I called you.
And if you could tell us what happened, please.
Dr. Arthur Schulte was treating me for headaches I have. He took my mink coats and my jewelry.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a list of what's missing?
Betty will have a list of what's missing.
Here, I've written down everything I think's gone.
Thank you.
Well, why do you say it was this Dr. Schulte? Is that right?
Yes.
Why do you say it was him that took things, Miss Hutchins?
He didn't. I know he didn't.
The doctor was the only other person in the apartment, officer.
When was this?
Last night.
What time was the doctor here last night?
It was about 8. I heard him leave later, about 9:15.
Is that right, Miss Hutchins?
Yes, that's right.
Well, could the apartment have been entered without either one of you knowing it?
No, sir. The back entrance is double latched, and no one could have broken in the front way. My room's right beside the front door, and I would have heard.
You told us on the phone that this Dr. Schulte was middle-aged, dark, close to 5'11", stocky, wears a goatee.
Yes.
No other distinguishing features. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How about his clothes, the way he was dressed?
He was about average. He had on a gray suit the last time we saw him.
Thank you.
You know who he is?
We'll find out.
What kind of treatment were you taking from Dr. Schulte, Miss Hutchins?
We call it hypnotherapy for my headaches.
Mm-hmm. Last night, the same thing?
Yes.
Well, anything different from his previous visits?
I was very nervous. He made me take 3 sleeping capsules, and I went to sleep.
And she was still sleeping this morning when I went in and found everything in the dressing table all over the floor.
Let's see. Have you known this Dr. Schulte long, Miss Hutchins?
About 4 months.
Did you meet him at a party, maybe?
No, I was a student of his.
Where was this?
A small college in Hollywood. He was the head of the school. He was a teacher, too.
Do you have the name and address of the college?
Betty can give it to you. It's in my desk.
You still a student there?
No. I don't take the course. I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
College was closed. That's when he came here to treat me for my headaches.
How did he start giving you these treatments, Miss Hutchins?
One day in his lecture, I fainted. Took me to his office and told me that pain was only a state of mind. State of mind.
Yes, ma'am.
My headache didn't bother me anymore. He said that relief would only be temporary if I didn't take regular treatment.
Well, did you see him regularly?
I saw him twice a week. Twice a week.
Always here?
At the college, then it closed. I don't know why. He telephoned and said he would continue here.
Well, where did you get in touch with him when the college closed?
I never did. He always called here.
Do you have any idea where he is now?
No, I just know that he's a thief.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you lie down, Miss Hutchins? You look tired.
All right.
Thank you, Miss Hutchins.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All right.
Would you gentlemen like some coffee?
Oh, Ben?
I could sure use some.
Well, it'd be very nice, miss. Thank you.
Officer,
Yes, ma'am.
if this man's just a common thief, the treatments he's been giving Miss Hutchins couldn't have been very good, could they?
She's still got the headaches, hasn't she? 11:50 a.m. We checked the apartment for physical evidence. There was nothing to indicate that the place had been broken into. We put in a call to Latent Fingerprints to send a man out to check the closet and dresser. We completed the crime report, and Betty Gregg, the maid, gave us the name and address of Dr. Schulte's college, the Los Angeles College of Psychotherapeutics and Psychiatry at a Franklin Street number in Hollywood. Ben and I got out a teletype to Sacramento asking information on the chartering of the school that Dr. Schulte was supposed to have headed. We checked on Betty Gregg, the maid, and found that she was a Los Angeles girl, parents still living in the city. She had a good reputation. 2:35 p.m., we went to the address where the college had been. It was a big brown clapboard house with several dormer windows facing the street. It was vacant. The front door was boarded up. A rental agency sign was stuck up on one of the pillars on the front porch.
Joe. Front room there. Must have been where they had classes. Rows of chairs nailed down, you see?
Yeah, let me look. Yeah. I don't see any papers inside. No mail.
Hi.
Yeah.
My name's Tom Thompson. You interested in the place?
You the agent?
No, I just live next door. I'm a dry cleaner myself, but I sort of promised the real estate agent I'd keep an eye peeled, see if I could be of help if anyone came on shop.
Police officers. We're just checking.
Oh, is there something wrong? Somebody break in?
Did you live next door when this was a school here?
Yeah, that psychology bunch here about, 10 months, maybe less. I always thought it was kind of a shoestring operation.
How do you mean?
Oh, you know, not much dough. They're just making ends meet, no clash, you know.
Always just adults?
Well, classes used to be mostly during the day I was at work. The wife used to tell me, no kids that she ever saw.
Did you know the man that ran the school?
No, but he was a middle-aged guy with a kind of a pointed beard. Had a pal, though, a younger guy. Never stopped to talk. They're pretty tight-mouthed guys, like I said. Why, what'd they do?
Routine investigation, Mr. Thompson.
Do you have any idea where they might be contacted now?
No. Real estate agent said they skipped without paying last month's rent for him. He's been trying to find them.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember their names?
Well, let's see. Wait a minute. The older guy, the guy with the beard, was named Schultz or something like that. I can't remember the young fellow, though, but... Hey, wait a minute. I got their door.
How's that?
I got their door. The agent let me have the front door. I'm building a patio porch in the back of my house, and the glass that I took out of the door's got the names lettered on it.
Well, that's fine.
Come on. I'll see if I still got it in the garage. It's right around here.
Okay.
A little chilly today, huh?
Yeah, a little.
Want to stand back there? I don't hit you.
Watch the door, Ben.
Yeah. There we go. I like to keep a nice, neat garage.
Sure looks nice.
Oh, thanks.
Say, did these men live in the house, Mr. Thompson, or did they just use it for the school, do you know?
Oh, best I know, just for classes. Like I say, they're pretty tight-lipped guys. Not very friendly. They're real quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here it is. I got it.
Just leave it right there. We'll come over there. You won't
Okay.
have to move it. Let's see. Los Angeles College of Psychotherapeutics and Psychiatry. Dr. Arthur William Schulte.
Schulte.
DAA, PhD, SCD.
Well, close to Schultz.
Dr. Leo George Donaldson. DV, PhD, SCD.
Mm-hmm. I got it, Joe.
Okay, fine. We're much obliged, Mr. Thompson. Here's our card. If you hear anything regarding these men, we'd appreciate you calling us.
Oh, sure. I'd be glad to. Wait a minute. Here. Here's my card. Ideal Cleaners over in Ivar. If you get around that way, why, drop some stuff off. I'll see it gets special attention.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson.
No, it's okay. I'm sure glad I didn't throw that glass away. Brother, look at all the letters after the names, eh? Wonder what it takes to get a lineup of degrees like that.
Paintbrush in about 10 minutes. 5 p.m. Ben and I drove back to the office. There was a report from latent fingerprints. Nothing but the prints of the two girls had been found in the Hutchins apartment. We checked what information we had on Schulte and Donaldson through to the FBI on the teletype. A check of doctors registered with the Los Angeles County Medical Association and the American Psychiatric Association failed to turn up anybody named Dr. Schulte. We had our I Bureau and Stats Office make runs on Leo Donaldson and Schulte and a rundown on the reports where the burglar had posed as a psychologist. The Stats Office turned up a couple of dozen new suspects. We pulled the mug shots and headed for the Hutchins apartment.
Looks like something doing at the Hutchins apartment house.
A lot of cruiser cars, huh?
Let's have a look.
Sorry, can't go in.
Sergeant Friday Romero, Central Burglary.
Oh, sure, Sergeant.
What's the trouble?
Girl named of Hutchins shot herself.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. Oh, no.
Ah, that's different.
Yes, what a difference.
There's a difference you can hear, there's a difference you can see, but the difference in Fatima is quality.
Yes, friends, when you compare long cigarettes, you'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, plump cigarettes rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality even to the appearance of the bright, clean yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Fatimas cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Monday, November 23rd. During the morning, the coroner's office signed off Marla Hutchins' case. The verdict was that she had taken her own life. The police psychiatrist told us that probably the hypnotic treatments by Schulte had hastened her death. The information we'd received from the Medical Association told us that they had had complaints against the operation of the Schulte school. They had pointed out to us that it takes over 12 years in recognized medical schools to become a member of the American Psychiatric Association. Schulte had been mass-producing pseudo-psychiatrists in 8 weeks. 1:40 p.m., we met with Captain Fulton.
School was a phony. Degrees and diplomas sold to anybody who had cash.
Yeah.
They're not operating anymore?
We checked that out. They're gone.
Well, here's the answer to your teletype to Sacramento.
Thank you.
Gives details on the application for the school to Schulte. He's listed as founder and dean. Donaldson is listed as staff. No addresses other than the Franklin Street number there.
Anything else?
A month ago, Leo Donaldson opened courses of instruction in Los Angeles under the title California Physicians College of Psychiatry, 781 South Hill Street.
Schulte associated with him?
No. Have any idea where Schulte is?
No, we don't, but we're looking. We've got the support of the medical people to push a bunco charge for the operation of the old school.
Donaldson should be able to give you a lead on Schulte.
Figures they might be in contact. Looks like they actually ran the school together, even though Schulte was legally responsible.
And Ben and I have an idea on how maybe we can find out.
How's that?
We thought one of us could make a pitch to Donaldson, see if he'd sell a degree from the new school. Get evidence to support a bunco warrant and check at the same time to see if Donaldson has contact with Schulte.
Well, I'll let Bunko detail know we're trying. You think you can do it?
I'd try.
You know anything else about Donaldson's courses?
No, that doesn't bother me.
How come?
Neither does Donaldson. In trying to get Schulte through his former associate Leo Donaldson, we again contacted the Medical Association. They furnished us with the name of Ralph Morse, a graduate of the Franklin Street School, who had since been killed in an auto accident. Tuesday, 11:30 a.m., Ben and I got to 781 South Hill Street, a 7-story office building in the heart of the Los Angeles business district. The directory in the lobby listed the California Physicians College of Psychiatry for rooms 214 and 216. Ben waited outside in the car. I took the elevator up. Dr. Donaldson?
I'm Dr. Leo Donaldson. May I be of assistance?
Well, my name is Frank Ditton. I wanted to ask about the curriculum here.
Well, we've just opened, Mr. Ditton. We're not quite ready to start classes. You understand this is very advanced instruction. Most of our students will have had considerable background in psychiatry.
Oh. Well, a friend of mine, Dr. Morse, said that he was sure I'd be a good student for you.
Dr. Morse?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I place him.
Well, he was one of your students at the Franklin Street School. Said that Dr. Schulte knew him quite well.
Oh, yes, I remember. Brilliant man. How's he getting along?
He was killed in a car collision.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, frankly, what I was interested in is being able to take over his practice. Could I get the same deal he got?
I think so, Mr. Ditton. What'd you have in mind?
Well, take some courses and get a degree. I worked with Morse for a while. I can set up a clinic. He did okay. I figure maybe I can, too.
Well, here's a list of the courses we'll offer.
Thank you.
We'll go over it together, and you can indicate what sphere of study you'd like to undertake.
Mm-hmm. Does Dr. Schulte teach any of these courses?
No, he doesn't. Now, the first semester will include painless and drugless childbirth, practical and applied psychology, autosuggestion, prenatal suggestion.
Yeah. Well, look, Dr. Donaldson, straight practical and applied psychology is the specialty that I want.
See?
What degree do I get, and how much will it cost?
Well, the least expensive is a doctor of psychotherapy at $450. A doctorate of philosophy and psychology is $500. Mm-hmm. For all purposes, if you can afford it, Mr. Ditton, is a doctorate of science. That's $800.
Oh.
That course was $1,000 at the Franklin Street School.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's a lot of money. I guess I have to have it, though. I wonder if you'd take a check now.
Certainly. You understand what a tremendous advantage these degrees are to the professional man who, for one reason or another, may never have had a chance to get a college diploma.
Mm-hmm. Well, the course is very hard?
You look like an intelligent man, Mr. Ditton. I'm sure you'd have no difficulty.
All right. Well, say, look, Doctor, I live out in Van Nuys now, and I'm working 3 days a week at the present time. It's going to be pretty tough to get downtown here. Do I have to be here every day?
Since it's the diplomas most of our students are interested in, we have on occasion made exceptions in cases like yours.
Well, I'd appreciate that.
We could possibly, in the case of a doctorate of science, present you with your diploma in advance of you taking the course, and you could launch into private practice at once and take the course whenever it suited you.
Well, couldn't ask for a better deal.
Everything's mentioned in this catalog. The forms are in the back. Why don't you sit down right there?
Oh, thank you very much. And rules and regulations. No books are required of students. Well, that's a break, huh?
We lecture a little differently from some colleges, and therefore we've dispensed with texts because we feel they tend to confuse the data.
Mm-hmm. When I take the course, who will be my instructor?
I will.
Well, Morris talked a lot about Dr. Schulte. Does he teach any of the classes?
No, Dr. Schulte was associated with me in the operation of the Franklin Street School, but is not the staff member of the California Physicians College of Psychiatry.
Well, I'm just wondering, if I paid extra, could I get some classes with him? Morris said that he picked up a lot of useful information from Schulte. He's a fellow with a goatee, isn't he?
Yes, that's right. Well, truthfully, I have no idea where Dr. Schulte is presently located.
I understand. Now, let's, one regulation here.
Yes?
No student will be admitted who cannot show documentary proof of the successful completion of secondary school work.
High school. You can understand that, can't you, Mr. Ditton?
How do you mean?
Well, there are certain minimum academic standards we must observe.
Yeah.
In order to maintain the quality of our degree.
Dr. Donaldson accepted my check to the amount of $800. I asked for a receipt, and he filled out a blank doctorate of science degree, which he carefully lettered with the name Frank Ditton, and signed himself as dean. I arrested Donaldson, and Ben and I took him in for booking. 1 p.m. We received a long teletype from Washington. Arthur Schulte had a record of arrests and convictions back east. It started with a conviction 16 years ago for the interstate transportation of pornographic motion pictures. The record gave us no known addresses, but important in the information was the fact that Schulte had originally been trained and had worked at being a projectionist in movie theaters. In the M.O. was the notation that he'd been known to take up his old occupation when sought by authorities. 1:35 p.m., we contacted the local office of the Motion Picture Projectionists Union, where they told us that they had placed an Arthur Schulte in the booth of one of the Main Street newsreel houses on Sunday. That was the day before. 2:30 p.m. The Crescent Theater was buried between two bars and advertised an hour of newsreels and short subjects for 20 cents.
Where's the manager?
I'm him. Can we talk to you a minute, police officers?
What?
I say we're police officers. We'd like to talk to you.
Nobody here to take over. Why don't you come in and I can open the booth door here and talk?
Okay. Right around the back, I guess, here, Ben.
Yeah, thanks.
Where is he? Hey, mister.
Okay. What's the trouble, officers?
You have a man with the name of Schulte working here?
That's right. Projectionist isn't working right this minute, though. Comes on duty at 4. It's an hour.
All right. I wonder if you'd take a look at this description, please.
Sure.
There you are.
5'11". Man working here's clean shaven, no goatee. Outside that sounds the same.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea where he lives? No, I don't.
Well, we'll have to wait for him here.
All right. Wait a minute. Just one? Where you want to wait? Inside?
Well, I think we'd rather stay up in the projection booth if it's all right.
Up the steel stairs there on the right. Tell Pete Eigen. He's the man up there now. I said it was okay.
All right, don't say anything to him when he gets here, will you, sir?
I won't, officer.
Come on, Ben. It's this way. It's a long climb, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's right up there.
Oh, yeah. This must be it. Yeah. Hey, mister! Mister!
Yeah?
Police officers.
Anything wrong?
We're going to have to wait here. The manager said it was okay.
Wait for what?
We want to talk to your relief man.
You mean the doc?
You know him?
Well, just since yesterday.
Why do you call him the doc?
Oh, you know, speaks kind of fancy for a projectionist. What do you do?
Oh, he just likes to talk to him.
Okay, you know the guy doesn't come on for about an hour.
Yeah, they told us.
You want to look at the picture? You can both sit by the observation port on the film stage there.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, sit over here, Ben. Is this all right here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Huh. Well,
What's the matter?
I've seen this newsreel.
5:45 p.m. Schulte was nearly 2 hours late. Ben and I were worrying about whether somehow he'd been tipped.
Usual for a man to be this late for a shift. Not in a house like this. Bigger house would be different. Way it is with a doc being late like this just cost the boss a couple of bucks.
How do you mean?
I get more dough. I'm over my maximum hours. If the old guy'd stay away long enough, I'd be on Golden.
Golden? What's that?
Yeah, double and a half time. Boys in the business call it Golden time.
Oh.
Most dough you can get is double Golden. You get that working over maximum number of hours after midnight on a Sunday.
Uh-huh.
That's double Golden. Never happened to me, though. How do you stand? What do you mean, the money? The noise. You get used to it. Don't pay any attention after a while.
Don't you get tired of hearing the same soundtrack over and over?
No, you just know it's there. It never registers. What they're saying, I mean. Just if it stops when it shouldn't. Get used to it over the years. You've been doing this long? 11.
It's a long time.
Excuse me. I gotta make a switch over.
What'd you say?
I said I gotta make a switch over.
I've been watching you do that all afternoon. How do you know when to turn the other projector on?
Marks on the film, up in the right corner on the screen, usually a black dot. Look through the window.
Look, Ben, right here.
Mm-hmm. The first dot tells me to start the other projector. When the second dot hits, I cut this one, turn on the other one. Now watch.
Okay.
See, the first one.
Uh-huh.
Now the second dot, see?
Uh-huh.
Smooth. You never know the difference. Simple stuff. People never seem to notice the switches. Just a minute. Hi, Doc. A little late. Sorry I overslept. Your name, Schulte?
That's right. Police officers would like to talk to you.
I have to go to work. It'll wait.
You want to go downstairs?
All right.
This way. All right, this will be fine right here. You say your name is Schulte, Arthur William Schulte?
That's correct. Ever been known by any other name?
Why? Did you operate a school called the Los Angeles College of Psychotherapeutics and Psychiatry during the past year?
I'm not saying anything. Where are you living, mister? I'm not saying anything.
Let me see your identification.
Here, my wallet.
All right.
No, you hold it. Say, open that part there. I take out the card. Union card. We'll take its stubs. Social Security card.
That second thing there behind the cash. Yeah. Let's try that folded piece of paper there.
It's just a bill. Mm-hmm. What is it, Joe?
It's a bill. Milliken Hotel. Let's go. We drove to the Milliken Hotel, about 6 blocks from the theater in the same Skid Row district. We got the key from the room clerk and went up to Schulte's room. It looked like any dingy hotel room. A small footlocker sat at the end of the bed on the baggage stand. 2 suitcases were over by the closet, and sitting on the floor alongside the bureau were 2 waist-high stacks of books.
You got the key to the small trunk?
I don't have to submit to this.
Let's open it up.
Open it yourself. Here's the key.
All right. Two mink coats.
I'll check the rest of the room, Joe.
All right. This your property, Doctor?
I'm not saying anything.
Just clothes, regular stuff in the bureau.
How about those suitcases over there? What do you got?
How about this?
It's a cigar box. It's taped shut. What's inside, Doctor?
Nothing you'd be interested in.
I'll open it, Joe.
Schulte? Bracelets, rings, matched earrings. Fit our stolen property reports.
These were gifts.
People say you took them.
They're sick. I've done them a lot of good. They know. They thank me this way.
Yeah.
People I get these things from, they know I've helped them.
Will you help Marla Hutchins?
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
Arthur Schulte, free on bail pending trial, died of natural causes on June 15th in Fresno, California. Leo Donaldson was tried and convicted of grand theft and served a term prescribed by law in the state penitentiary.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. When the rookie policeman becomes a full-fledged member of the department, one of the first things he becomes aware of is the time-worn tradition of the peace officer. He has pride in the men he works with, pride in his job. The men who make Fatima take great pride in their job. They, too, uphold a tradition. The Fatima tradition of quality. You see, Fatima contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And pack after pack, they're extra mild. If you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, and have not yet enjoyed Fatima, buy a pack tomorrow. Compare Fatima with other long cigarettes. You'll find they cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality. Smoke Fatima.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of Police of the City of Los Angeles, W.H. Parker.
The Los Angeles Police Department awards this citation of merit to Dragnet for its authentic portrayal of cases from the files of this department, bringing great credit to the Los Angeles Police Department and its officers, and enhancing the prestige of law enforcement generally among its millions of listeners.
Thank you, Chief Parker.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Next, We the People. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC.
Keep it tuned right here to HOJO Radio for more classic old-time radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. An accomplished check forger resumes operations in your city. The suspect's described as a middle-aged woman. She's written more than $20,000 in bad checks. Your job, get her.
In a moment, an authentic case from official files.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's different.
Yes, what a difference. In Fatima, the difference is quality. You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
Fatimas cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, April 17th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Elliott. My name's Friday. I was on the way back into work, and it was 7:53 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, how'd the weekend go?
Oh, pretty slow. Stayed home, did some gardening.
How about that new lawn you put in? How's it doing?
If we want a lawn, we're going to have to move.
What's the matter now?
Same old thing.
Gophers?
Must be hundreds of them. So many holes at the top of the lawn looks like an old punch board.
Oh, that's too bad. Can't you try some kind of poison on them? Or how about those new things they got out? What do they call them? Gopher bombs?
I use them by the dozen. They eat anything.
Joe? Ben?
Yeah, Ferguson.
Come on in, Captain wants to see you.
Okay.
What's up, Fergie?
You ain't gonna like it. Skipper will brief you.
Morning, Skipper.
Hi. Have a seat.
Yeah, thanks.
You two finished up with the Benson case yesterday, that right?
Yeah, it's all washed up. We're clear.
Good. Then you can start on this one right away. You'll work with Frank Besser and Ferguson here.
What is it?
Grandma.
I had a hunch, Joe.
What have we done to deserve this?
It's nothing any of us have done. It's what we haven't done. I want her stopped once and for all.
Are we any closer to her than we have been, Fergie?
Just about same, Joe.
That's why I'm putting 2 more of you on it. How well do you know the case?
Well, just what we've heard around the office.
Same here. I could stand some briefing.
Ferguson?
Well, you must have heard how she operates. 3 months out of the year, April, October, and December, that's all.
She's never been known to change that schedule?
Not as far as I know. She's been doing it the same for 9 years.
All the phony checks she cashes are personal checks.
That's right. She never writes them less than $2 and never more than 100.
9 years. She been going that long?
9.5. It'll be an even 10 this October. You want to check them out on the totals, Ferguson?
Up to and including the first of this month, she's cashed 1,273 checks. The total's a little over $22,000.
Anything special about the way she writes the checks?
Nothing but the signatures. There's an alias list on her that'll knock your eye out, more than 200 different names.
Her description's still the same, about 50 years old, kind of plump, nice face.
A few minor changes. Last year she had gray hair, dressed very plain. This year she dyed her hair black, dresses a little more expensively.
9 years. That's a long streak of luck for any paper hanger.
That's just it. This old gal's not just an ordinary paper hanger. She's no amateur, don't get me wrong, but she doesn't operate like any check forger I've ever known. She contradicts part of her M.O., part of it she doesn't. She takes chances an ordinary paper hanger would never take, and she gets away with them. Take a look at just one of these exhibits.
Yeah?
This one here. 28 checks passed on the same chain of grocery stores, same company.
She passed them all in 1 month?
No, that's just the point. 2 years ago, she passed 14 of them, spread them out over a period of a month. Last year, she passed another batch of 14, all within 3 days. 1 year, she used a different name on each check. On this batch, she used the same name.
Well, does she have any identification when she passes these checks?
Always. Phony driver's license, social security cards, it works. And she's got that sweet grandmother smile of hers. Clerks rarely turn her down when she shows up with a check.
You can get used to different descriptions of her, too. Give the file a look. Hardly 3 of the check victims can get together on what she looks like exactly.
Well, where are they getting stung most? Downtown or out in the neighborhoods?
The neighborhoods, anywhere from the beach area to the valley.
This whole file, Skipper, that's not just her work, is it?
Every last bit of it. We can't fit it in a 6-foot shelf. In 9 years, I've had 5 teams of men work this thing. None of them reached her. You and Friday make the 6th.
It's April 17th. How's she doing so far this month, Fergie?
Cashed $624 in checks we know of since the first of the month. Same general description, same general M.O.
No fresh leads?
She's been operating 9 years, Joe.
Yeah.
She's just as good as ever.
To the working detective, there's no tougher job than tracking a lawbreaker who's half professional and half amateur. You can expect a criminal who's entirely professional to react generally the same in a given set of circumstances. And the same with the amateur. But take the two, the professional and the amateur, and intermingle their possible and probable reactions. You'll likely have a sound reason why and how an elderly woman could victimize merchants with $20,000 in bad checks over a period of 9 years without being caught. Grandma, as she'd come to be known, worked only 3 months out of each year, April, October, and December. Her apparent fine sense of timing and her knowledge of psychology was far and away superior to that of the ordinary paper hanger. If the file on Grandma was any indication, she apparently had been born to be a successful check forger. After Ben and I spent 3 days on the case with Sergeants Ferguson and Besser, we were almost convinced that there was only one way we could reach the suspect. She had to make a mistake.
Fergie, how'd you do?
Pretty sour. 4 checks in 2 days. What'd you fellas get?
2. Don Meyer checked the signatures. They're all hers.
Here's our list if you're interested. Meat market out in Pico, $25. Grocery in West Hollywood, $48. 2 department stores downtown, $100 apiece.
And how do they describe the woman?
Same old yarn. She was a nice, charming little lady, about 55 or 60, small, dark hair, graying, dark eyes, nice smile. Clerk told me she reminded him of his mother.
Yeah.
How'd you make out on those two of yours?
Oh, about the same. Even the story about her looking like somebody's mother.
One thing's sure, her timing's just as good as it was 9 years ago.
Downtown Merchants Association's screaming again. They're looking for action.
So are we.
You talked to the captain today?
Yeah, he's looking for action, too. I don't know what we can do unless we get some kind of cooperation from the merchants. Every time the old gal pushes a bum check, it's 3 or 4 days before it gets to the bank and we hear about it. The trail's pretty cold by then.
Yeah, Joe and I were talking just before you came in, Fergie. We can't expect too much to happen the way we're going.
Any ideas?
More men and more stakeouts. The captain says he'll buy that. That's about all we can do.
Another 10 days and April will be over. Grandma will be through pushing checks till October again.
I don't know, Joe. Her formula's too perfect for me. There's got to be a flaw in it someplace.
Yeah. You got out a bulletin of that revised description of her, Fergie?
Yeah, it's all taken care of. Special notices were mailed out to merchants, too.
I'll get it.
Yeah.
Forgery, Romero? Yes, sir. Was that's so? Yeah, right away, thank you. Supermarket on Temple Street. Grandma. Hit him with 2 checks.
Any lead?
Clerk says you remind him of his mother.
A week passed. The number of stakeouts on business places throughout the city was doubled. The M.O. and description of the suspect was circulated among the merchants in the downtown and suburban shopping centers. Clerks were especially warned to be on the lookout for. The precautions went for nothing. Grandma's checks kept showing up at the rate of 2 and 3 a day. On April 27th, she passed a check for $50 at a delicatessen on Hollywood Boulevard. We drove out to interview the owner, Mr. Hemerston.
Do you have one of those circulars we sent out on this woman?
Well, I'm ashamed to say it, Sergeant, but I have, hanging right back there in the storeroom. The thing of it is, I never connected the two, the woman and the notice. It's the way she looks at you, you know, like you'd be a heel to even question her.
Mm-hmm. How was she dressed the last time she was in? Do you remember that?
Well, she had kind of a plain black coat on.
Yeah.
Would you excuse me a minute? I don't like to keep customers waiting.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Yes.
How are you, Mrs. Lyons?
Need some cold meat for kids' lunches. What do you got nice and fresh?
You see right there in the case. Head cheese is very fresh. Good for the kiddies. Pimento loaf's nice, too.
Oh, kids don't like either one. Fussy. You better give me 35 cents that small bologna, would you?
Yes, ma'am.
Kids are so fussy nowadays. Ought to be in Europe. That's what I tell them. I know what it is to go hungry. Oh, you better give me a couple of those large kosher pickles, too. Husband's crazy for them.
Yes, ma'am.
And a loaf of the rye, too. Would you know, seed?
Yes, ma'am. How are the kiddies doing in school, Mrs. Lyons?
Oh, just fine, fine. Marilyn's in the school pageant next month. She's going to be the queen.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I don't know how nice it is. More work, that's all. I have to make her costume.
There you are, Mrs. Lyons. Put it on the bill?
Yeah, would you do that? I'll see you the 15th of the month.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Sorry to keep you waiting, officer.
Not at all.
I see now. Where was I?
Well, we asked you how the woman was dressed.
Oh, yeah. Had a black coat on. I told you that.
Yes, sir.
Very plain-looking clothes, like any other housewife. Print dress, some kind of a scarf around the neck. That's about all I noticed.
How about that description of her in the bulletin we sent you? That fit her pretty well?
Yeah, I guess so. She didn't exactly seem plump to me, though. Kind of a nice figure for a woman of her age.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if any of your customers were acquainted with her?
I wouldn't know that. She acted as though she knew some of them, but now that this has happened, I can see she was just putting on. She was a great disappointment to me.
Yes, she is to a lot of people.
I used to josh with her all the time. I'm a widower, you know. Thought once or twice I might even date her up.
That's so?
Yeah, she seemed like a real good sport, joshing all the time, fine personality, just as homey as you please.
Well, that fits in with the other descriptions.
Are you ever going to catch somebody like that?
2 days later, on April 30th, right on schedule, the flow of bogus checks in Grandma's handwriting suddenly stopped. If she continued to work by the same timetable she'd been using for the last 9 years, she wouldn't start operations again until the 1st of October. During the next 5 months that followed, from May to the end of September, Besser, Ferguson, Ben, and I handled the usual run of check cases. At the same time, we used up every spare hour we had making preparations for the suspect's next appearance. Every businessman throughout the city who might be a possible victim was alerted. A revised description of the suspect, together with her M.O., was printed up and given wide distribution. Every possible precaution was taken. October came. Grandma started on the 10th year of her forgery career without a hitch. On October 1st, she cashed a check for $75 at a large downtown women's shop. As soon as we got the report, we went to the department where the check had been received. A fashion show was in progress.
She's wearing a deep, wide velvet dinner suit, the newest shade for evening wear. You will notice the pencil thin skirt and the dolman 3/4 sleeves.
Excuse me. Are you Mr. Montrose?
Yes? What is it?
Police officers, sir. Forgery detail.
Oh, yes, that check. I wonder if you could hold on for just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Miss Janice Morgan next. She wears a gown of striking originality with rich but simple lines. A black dinner dress, the satin skirt with pannier points, a sculptured silk and latex sweater top with an oval neckline punctuated with ball fringe.
Hey, Joe. What kind of outfit is that the model's wearing?
I don't know.
How much to it?
All right, officers. Would you like to step this way, please?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is my office here. Well, I don't know what I can do for you, gentlemen. The check was passed. Very unfortunate occurrence.
You okayed the check for cashing, is that correct?
Yes, the sales girl handled the transaction. She showed me the check. I knew the signature, so I okayed it.
Mary Walker?
Yes, that's how this check was signed.
What kind of identification did the woman have?
Her charge account plate. You know, the small metal card, charger plates we call them.
Yes.
I recognized that in the signature immediately.
You know this Mary Walker pretty well?
She's one of our best customers.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. Oh, no.
Ah, that's different.
Yes, what a difference.
There's a difference you can hear, there's a difference you can see, but the difference in Fatima is quality.
Yes, friends, when you compare long cigarettes, you'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, plump cigarettes rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality even to the appearance of the bright, clean yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Fatimas cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all, long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Friday, October 4th, 2 p.m. Before we left the store, we found that another worthless check bearing the signature Mary Walker had been cashed in a different department of the store the same day. The woman had used the same means of identification, a metal charge account plate stamped with the name Mary Walker. We took the two checks back to the office and had Don Meyer in handwriting compare the signatures. There wasn't any doubt in his mind. The writing on both checks was Grandma's. Well, it was only a hunch, but it was beginning to look as though the suspect had finally done what we'd been waiting 9 years for to do. She'd made a mistake. Ben and I drove out to an address in the Wilshire district to interview Mrs. Mary Walker. She fit the same general description of the suspect, but she denied writing either one of the checks, which bore her signature.
It's out of the question, Sergeant. I couldn't have written the checks. I haven't even been in the city for the past 5 days.
Then the signatures on these two checks here, Mrs. Walker, they're not yours.
It looks like my handwriting, but it's not. I didn't write those checks. They're forgeries.
Yes, ma'am. You do have a charge account at the store, don't you, ma'am?
Oh, yes. I've had an account there for years. Nothing like this has ever happened, though.
You have one of those charge account plates?
Well, yes, I did have one.
You lent it to someone in your family?
No, as a matter of fact, I lost it. I meant to report it to the store, but it slipped my mind.
Do you have any idea where and when you might have lost it?
Well, I think it was last Sunday night. I'm not sure. Oh, well, just a minute. I know who would remember. Inez Lambert, she was there. I'm sure she'll remember.
Who's she, ma'am?
A girlfriend of mine. She lives in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Inez. Mary Walker, Inez. Oh, just fine. And you? Oh, good. Say, Inez, which night was it we went to the Boosters Club meeting? Sunday? Yes, I thought that it was. Oh, nothing. Just some silly misunderstanding. Yeah, well, all right, Inez. Thanks for remembering for me. Yes, goodbye. It was Sunday night, Sergeant. Inez Lambert and I went to the neighborhood Boosters Club meeting. I'm sure that's where I must have lost it.
Well, you think the charge account plate fell out of your purse, is that it?
Well, either that or it was taken.
Why do you say that, ma'am?
Well, it's a serious thing. I didn't want to mention it.
What's that?
I left my purse on the chair next to me a part of the evening. When I got home, I thought I was missing a $5 bill from my change purse. I didn't notice at the time my charger plate was gone.
Do you remember who was at that meeting, Miss Walker?
Oh, 40 or 50 people at least.
How many women would you say?
Dozen or so, I suppose. I'm not accusing anybody of robbery, Sergeant. I know it's a serious charge to make.
Do you know if one of the club officers might have taken a list of those present?
Oh, they didn't have to. We do the same thing at every meeting.
What's that, ma'am?
We all sign the attendance book when we leave.
3 p.m. Ben and I contacted the secretary of the Neighborhood Boosters Club. He gave us a list of those present at the Sunday night meeting of the club. As Mary Walker had told us, each person present had signed his or her name and address in the attendance book. We took the record downtown with us and had Don Meyer compare each signature on the list with samples of Grandma's handwriting.
Number 32 on the list, fellas. That's it.
Positive, Mick?
No doubt in my mind. That's Grandma's handwriting.
How'd she sign it?
Mrs. Inez Lambert.
We went down the hall to R&I and had him check the name Inez Lambert through the files. She had no criminal record. Together with Besser and Ferguson, Ben and I spent the next day and a half trailing Inez Lambert wherever she went. She fitted the description of the suspect perfectly. We questioned her friends and her neighbors. We dug back into every corner of her life for the past 10 years. The results were pretty amazing. We found that she was highly respected by everybody she knew. She was active in a dozen civic and church organizations. Her reputation was spotless. There was only one hitch. Mrs. Lambert's hobby was charities. By checking back, we found that during the past 10 years, she donated an average of $3,000 annually to various charitable organizations. Her husband's total annual income was $7,000. From her bank, we obtained specimens of Inez Lambert's handwriting. It matched almost perfectly with every signature in the Grandma file. Monday, October 7th, Ben and I called on Mrs. Lambert.
Oh, yes, officers, won't you come in? Mary Walker was telling me about you. Come in, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mary told me about the things missing from her purse at the meeting. Is that what you're inquiring about?
Yes, ma'am. We've got a few other questions to ask you besides that.
Well, you sort of caught me at a bad time. Just getting ready to put some baking in the oven for dinner tonight. Would you mind very much if we talked back in the kitchen? I've got to get this done.
No, not at all, ma'am.
It's back this way. Oh, there goes my cream sauce again, boiled over. Just take a chair there, officers. I'll be right with you.
Thank you. Thanks.
This cream sauce is so temperamental, can't take your eye off it for a minute. There. Shouldn't boil over now. Would either of you officers care for a cup of cocoa? Chilly out today.
Well, no, thank you, ma'am. We only have a few questions for you. It won't take long.
Yes? All right. Would you mind holding this bowl just a minute, Sergeant?
Oh, yes.
I just have to get this in the oven for dinner. My husband's favorite dessert. It's called pinch pie. It's kind of a meringue tart.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Take 2 eggs, I guess. There we are. Get these egg whites beaten up nice and light. That cup of sugar on the sink, Sergeant. Would you be so kind?
Yeah, all right. Here's your sugar, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, what is it you wanted to know?
Mrs. Walker had her charge account plate stolen that night at the Boosters Club meeting. Somebody's been using it to cash bad checks in her name.
Is that so? Mary didn't tell me that.
The same person who's using that charger plate has been cashing bad checks all over the city. She's been doing it for some time.
Oh, my. Well, I don't think I can help you, Sergeant. I went to that meeting with Mary. She says somebody must have been in her purse, but I didn't see them.
Do you have that charge account plate, Mrs. Lambert?
Me? Oh, no, I have my own. Now, let me see. Teaspoon vanilla, teaspoon vinegar, teaspoon water, combined in a small pitcher or cup.
We've got good reason to believe you have that charge account plate, ma'am. Did you take it from Mrs. Walker?
That's a silly thing for you to say, Sergeant. I told you I have my own charge plate. I never borrow anyone else's, no reason to. Add a few drops of combined liquid. Beat constantly.
Did you cash 2 checks last week and sign them with Mrs. Walker's name?
Why, of course not. Why should I do such a thing? Mary Walker's one of my best friends. I wouldn't do that to her, even as a joke.
Well, our handwriting man compared the signatures on those 2 checks, Mrs. Lambert. Both of them match your handwriting.
When all the ingredients have been added, continue to beat the meringue for several minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that you said, Sergeant?
I said that the signatures on those 2 forged checks, our handwriting man compared them with specimens of your signature. They both match.
Well, then your handwriting man certainly made a mistake. Oh, there's a large white platter up in that cupboard there. Would you reach it for me, please?
All right. There you are, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Now, you deny that you wrote those 2 forged checks last week. You deny that you've written and cashed about 1,500 worthless checks in the last 9 years.
Well, of course I deny it. You're sure you haven't made a mistake?
We're sure, ma'am. I'm sorry. You'll have to come downtown with us for questioning.
Oh, what's that? Oh, my. It's the cream sauce again. Sergeant, I can't leave the house now, right in the middle of getting dinner ready. My husband would be furious. If you want to talk, couldn't we do it later on?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Afraid not.
But you certainly can't accuse me of doing anything wrong. The folks at the church will vouch for me.
We've got just as many people who say you've cheated them. People who cashed those checks for you.
Quite a few of them, ma'am. 9 years' worth.
But that's silly, 9 years cashing checks. I'm sure you must mean somebody else, Sergeant. I've got to get this platter greased. Let's see. Heat meringue upon lightly greased platter. Yes.
Look, we have a record downtown on every single check that you passed since you started, ma'am. We've got specimens of your handwriting and people to identify you. We know what your income is. We know how much that you've given to charities.
Money's got to come from someplace. Is that what the checks were for?
Excuse me, I've got to get this meringue in the oven. Let me see. 275 degrees. Yeah. I hope I put in enough vanilla.
You want to tell us about it?
I never thought about anyone finding out. I guess I should have expected it, shouldn't I?
Yes, ma'am.
It was all for charity. There were so many of them. Orphanages, Old People's Home, Christmas Poor Fund, and then the overseas relief charities. They all need money. Somebody has to take care of them.
Your husband knew nothing about this for 10 years?
Nothing at all. They were my charities. I had to have money for them. I took money from people who had it and gave it to those who didn't. What do you think, Sergeant? Was I wrong? Do you think the good Lord will say I was wrong?
I wouldn't know, ma'am.
I only wanted to help the poor like he did. I came to help the poor.
Well, there's a big difference, ma'am.
Yes?
He didn't use a checkbook.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 18th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 91, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. The efficiency of any local police department depends on the quality of its personnel. Each and every man is carefully selected and thoroughly trained. In uniform or plain clothes, your police officer knows his job. And so with a cigarette. The men who make Fatima cigarettes know their job. They carefully select and blend the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos to make Fatima extra mild, different from other long cigarettes. They cost the same, but in Fatima, the difference is quality. If you're a long cigarette smoker like I am, I'm sure you'll like Fatima best. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Inez Lorraine Lambert entered a plea of guilty to 2 counts of forgery, and the remaining charges were set off calendar. She was sentenced by the court for the term prescribed by law. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is Robert Young. Hear We the People next on NBC.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.